Jets in order, I will say we will see. Everybody said that in 80. Popularity didn't really skyrocket. Gretzky moving to LA did more for the game than the 80 team, believe it or not. Shed tears with thoughts of the 80 games? Not once. Never even thought about it. Never entered my mind. Goudreau's kids on the ice? That's a different story. I laugh. My phone starts blowing up pretty early, David, with different people texting during the game. But the first one I got, Jay Severson.
I know.
No hospital, Javier. Embassy Suites for a couple of days, and then I'm in what's called the Hope Lodge. That's sponsored by the American Cancer Society. But I had a room there the 25th, and they could not get me in earlier. So a little hotel time. They had a big softball tournament here this weekend. I sat pretty much next to the whole Boston College softball team yesterday morning.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they had a baseball one or not. I don't know if it was soccer because there were some male athletes. And if they were baseball players, my God, were they little. And they had A&M gear on, and I just couldn't see those kids being A&M baseball players. I would just imagine them to be bigger if they're playing SEC baseball. I mean, they were little. And I don't mean height. I mean skinny.
Right.
I mean, the BC women's softball team could have kicked their ass small, if you know what I mean.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this final Monday of February. The Olympics have come and gone, but boy, did they end strong. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. If you're joining us on twitch.tv or on our YouTube channel, you see Mark Miller in different surroundings than he's been the last 3 weeks. Either Moffitt did a lot of renovations over the weekend, or you moved.
I moved, David. They sprung me on Friday, a few days earlier than I thought I was going to get out, but my numbers were such that they said, you can go. And I said, okay, let's get the hell out of this place. And I've got to admit, Friday night, stayed in a hotel in downtown Tampa. I had a buddy who flew cross country to see me, and another friend that's about an hour away. And so I stayed down close to where they were, and sleeping. I got out of the hospital and got into the hotel, and we were having dinner late because we had to move our reservation because I was out, and increase it from 2 to 4 because my mother's here with me. And so we had a, I mean, like a real person dinner, like late night. And I mean, restaurants in Naples were closed by the time I sat down for dinner late.
Well, you were in
And
Tampa, so you
exactly.
you can sit down at 9:30 for the party of 4 and be fine.
And I took a nap, and that bed was the most wonderful thing that I had ever laid in my life. Oh my goodness.
Well, and then not
That
only
was my
that,
gold medal.
then you had real food.
Real
I
food.
mean,
Last 3 days, it's been, I mean, obviously ecstatic to get out, a lot of emotions, ringing that bell, and it was a hell of a weekend.
well, that's awesome. Absolutely awesome. And you know, many of us saw the video that you posted of you ringing the bell and leaving, and obviously we're thrilled.
Yeah.
Beyond belief. And so
Yep, no doubt.
you look great, and hopefully everything continues to go as well as it is. So then there was yesterday morning, and you and I are puckheads, but let's face it, a lot of us wrap ourselves around the flag. Always have, likely always will. And, middle of the week last week, you and I will, I will go to the wall and insist we were not wrong. Okay. Heading into the medal round, the NHL had gotten nothing out of this putting the guys back in the Olympics. Yeah, the medal round made up for a lot.
Yes, it did. I mean, obviously the quarterfinals with 3 games going to overtime were sensational. Canada gets pushed to the brink in the semifinals and escapes. And then the U.S., for really the first time in a while, looked terrific in their semifinal game.
Yes,
they came
did.
out and looked great.
Uh-huh. A team that had been on a roll in Slovakia, and they whacked them.
Yes, they did. And I also said after the quarterfinals and heading to the semis that I wanted Canada. Here's Canada struggling with Finland in the semifinal game. And I can't say I was rooting for Canada because I wasn't. But when they won, I was like, good. That's who I want to play. If you're going to win the gold medal, you've got to beat that team. And I'll be damned. They got Canada. And what a game we got yesterday morning.
Brian Boucher was the NBC commentator in between the glass, in between both benches. And his comment after the first period was, I've never seen the sport played faster than that first period. He goes, and we're lucky enough to see Stanley Cup finals, and we were at the Four Nations last year, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I've just never seen it played this fast before. That was as good as I've seen. And you could argue Canada got better, and we held on. We ham and egged them, Mark. We ham and egged them.
Well, and the penalty kill at the end of the second, when they had the 5-on-3 for 1:33, that was as key to the game as anything else. I'm watching with my mom and my buddy from Portland, and he's self-admittedly not a hockey guy. And I out loud said, this can't be 2-1 in 2 minutes.
Right.
Man, and he kind of looked at me. I said, I mean, you're watching them dominate. The ice is tilted. If they get out of this 1-1, I'm pretty happy right now. And the penalty kill turned out to be the key for the U.S. team in this Olympic. They were perfect with the penalty kill.
Well, it was also interesting. The United States put a team together different than the way Canada put a team together. Canada put the most skill that they could get and put it in the room and said, let's go. Bill Guerin, who's the GM of the Minnesota Wild, was the GM of Team USA. And he specifically put 3 forwards on the U.S. team who probably don't make the team on skill. But Guerin said, I want a penalty kill unit. We need a peak, we need a penalty kill unit. And so he put 2 guys from the Rangers, and I forget who the other forward was, and they were the penalty kill unit. And in fact, the one guy from the Rangers, Vincent Trocheck, he was their faceoff guy. And he won 2/3 of the faceoffs throughout the tournament.
And the other faceoff guy, Dylan Larkin, won the biggest draw of the game. To start that 5-on-3, Dylan Larkin winning that draw and clears off 20 seconds and forces them to start from 200 feet as opposed to having to be able to set up in the zone was monstrous. And Dylan Larkin was better than Trocheck on faceoffs in the tournament. I mean, Dylan Larkin, I thought, was not him a Red Wing guy. Dylan Larkin was the unsung hero of that tournament for the Red Wings. He was phenomenal.
I agree. And I guess Larkin and Trocheck were 2nd and 3rd in the Olympics in their face-off percentage, 1. And so Guerin put a team together in which he focused on little specific things because he thought that that's what it was going to come down to. We need to be a little bit better in a few key areas to get over the hump. And then it helps when your goalie does the proverbial standing on his head.
David, I've watched hockey. I've watched hockey my whole life. I've watched hockey where I kind of know what I was watching now for 40 years. I've seen great goaltending performances at all kinds of levels. I have never seen anything like what we witnessed yesterday by Hellebuck. He was beyond phenomenal. I mean, obviously the paddle save is the save we're going to remember because it was the save of the game. It was the save of the Olympics. It was the gold medal save. But he stoned the best player of the world several times. He stoned Celebrini on a breakaway. He forced them to miss the net because they were gripping the stick so tight that despite the fact that he had 41 saves in the game, they had another 15 shots from grade A scoring chances that never got on net. And to your point about the team Billy Guerin put together, the number of shots that were blocked by forwards, by defensemen, by that entire team, their commitment to playing the game the right way in an all-star type setting cannot be overlooked because they were truly a 200-foot team. And, Austin Matthews ticked me off when he didn't shoot and had an opportunity early in the game. But Austin Matthews played a 200-foot game, David. He back-checked. He back-checked the entire tournament. Drove me nuts sometimes, but the man back-checked. It was a performance of the ages between the nets, though. I mean, it truly was. And for all the people that have knocked him for not being able to win the big game and after winning the MVP, and we were guilty of it. When he wins in Winnipeg,
with all due respect, he hadn't.
No, he hadn't. He hadn't. Had the best record in the league in Winnipeg. He wins the MVP and gets knocked out of the playoffs. First round, right?
Well, they barely got through the first round. But no, he had never. I don't even know if Winnipeg's ever made a conference finals with him. He's won 3 Vezinas and an MVP, and his playoff numbers are terrible. And I mean terrible. They almost pulled him last year in the first round series against St. Louis. Okay, and he won the Vezina and the MVP, and he was bad. Okay, and he got out-goalied in the Four Nations final. Binnington was better than he was. All right, but not yesterday, man. Okay, I mean, that hollow Hall of Fame resume, and that's what it was going to be until yesterday. Okay, and that's over. He can retire now. He can get back and go, you know what, I'm tired. 32, I'm going to call it a day. Be like, that's cool, man.
And while he still may have to pay for drinks in Winnipeg because winning yesterday,
right,
he may never have to pay for one in the United States for the rest of his life.
No. And by the way, how many of you are now familiar with who Jack Hughes is? And you weren't even midway through the third period yesterday.
No, you knew who his brother was.
Right.
Because Quinn was amazing. He got the goal to get us to the semifinal. He led the team in ice time on the blue line and played terrific hockey. But Jack Hughes, it was such a weird play because Larkin's about to take the puck. And the question I wish was asked, did he get called off? Did he hear Hughes yelling for the puck? Did the defenseman there, Wozniak, right? Werenski, rather. Werenski, did he call him off and say, I've got somebody? But it was just an interesting play because it looked like it could have been a 2-on-0 going the other way.
And is there anything more hockey than a guy who's had 2 teeth knocked out late in the third period, scoring the game winner and having to do all the post-game interviews? I don't know if anything's more hockey than that. Take your load management right here. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Well, I don't know if they didn't hustle back. They got caught deep, first off. I mean, there was a pass that was chipped out. They're both going in one direction, and the puck gets chipped past them as fast as they are. I mean, I don't – to say they didn't hustle is, I think, a stretch, Martin.
We sure it was McDavid or it was McKinnon? I thought the play broke down for Canada. McKinnon went at the blue line. Wasn't it McKinnon who went to poke the puck away? Okay, and we poked it around him up the boards, which created the 2-on-1, which became a 3-on-1 or 3-on-2. But, McKinnon was -2 in the game. And McCarr was on the ice for both goals against also. So he was only -1 because he scored. Well, the only question I have, DC, did the puck touch a U.S. player along the boards? But because, they had 7 or 8 guys there for 2-3 seconds. But the puck has to touch a U.S. player. But, yeah, they didn't want to call a penalty the rest of the game. And then, like 5-6 minutes later, they had to, and Wilson, took the teeth out of Hughes' face. But I don't think Canada can complain because they gave them a 5-on-3 for 1:33. And that power play was at about 50% for the tournament when they went out on the ice for that 5-on-3.
McKinnon got hit off the puck. McDavid was right there coming to play the puck. He was basically in the zone. It's 2-on-2 there. Remember, he's got Larkin. And
Right.
McCarr got caught trying to poke the puck and got beat up ice by Hughes. But to say it's not hustle, I think is just I vehemently would disagree with you.
No, DC, it should have been too many men.
Oh, yeah.
We all acknowledge that. It should have been too many men.
And they weren't.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour on this final Monday of February. Thanks so much for being with us. Dave McCarthy will join us during our 8 a.m. Eastern hour to look back at the Olympic hockey. Mike Miller will join us in a couple hours to look back at a huge Saturday in college basketball. And boy, did it deliver. Down goes Michigan. Down goes Michigan. And when the polls come out later today, number 1 will be Duke. How about that? We'll see if they can hold it heading into the tournament. But back to the Olympic hockey. So, does this have legs? We've been through this before. Hockey fans like soccer fan. Okay, whenever there's something that gets a lot of attention and the ratings are enormous, and this is going to change soccer in this country. This is going to change hockey in this country.
The pessimist in me says no. Now, will it lead to more participation and kids getting involved in the sport? Yes, it will. No doubt.
But the sport doesn't struggle for that now.
No, exactly. Sorry, had a little sneeze there.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. But it will get more participation.
Mm-hmm.
But when the Stanley Cup, here's the question that you're really asking, because the ratings for this game are going to be through the roof.
Monsters.
They are. It's going to be the highest rated, most watched hockey game in the history of the sport. It will not be close. Trust us. If 6.9, and I didn't see the Slovakia ratings, but if 6.9 million watched the semifinal game against Sweden. Played at 3 p.m.
Well, at the
Sunday
quarterfinal.
morning.
Right.
Quarterfinal game, sorry. The quarterfinal game did 6.9 million.
Right.
So,
like you said, on a Wednesday afternoon. Right.
So there's no doubt that the rating for this game is going to be every number David and I guessed, damn near double it.
Right.
It's going to do a number.
I think the only text I sent you during the game was, is this going to do 20 million? And you said, I think at its peak, yes. But, if I have to guess at an overall rating, I'll go 15 to 17. That's Monday Night Football territory.
Right. But here's the question that you're really asking me. Does the 15 million translate into Stanley Cup ratings that, are at least 1.5 to 2 times what they normally are?
Right.
I don't think that it will. I don't.
Raj, you're not a hockey guy. Okay. You're a college basketball guy. The NHL season resumes on Wednesday. All right. Are you going to find yourself, if you're flipping through the channels in the next couple of weeks, stopping and watching some hockey?
Probably a little bit more likely. Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. I mean, but that's a little bit more likely maybe type answer. And
Yeah,
that's what I think normal is. I think, if we were to ask a poll question today, are you going to watch more hockey because the U.S. won the gold medal? I think the number would be higher than I think people would put yes down in recency bias. And when the Stanley Cup comes around, I don't know if it happens. Now, we've talked about this before. Where Raj is and where I live is a great hockey market. Mm-hmm. Where I am right now is an amazing hockey market. I mean, you cannot go into an establishment in Tampa without seeing a goal Bolts flag. I mean, there's more Tampa Bay Lightning stuff around this town, and it is hockey season right now, than there is Rays stuff, than there is Buck stuff. Trust me, I've been driving around this town for 3 days. There is Lightning stuff everywhere. So, but the question becomes, I kind of joke that my son's kind of had a guy in his life who's his boss's father-in-law who watched the Olympics. Billy ain't watching the Panthers play the Lightning on a Tuesday night. It ain't happening. It was the flag.
Right. Here's the other thing, quite frankly. Even though the NHL is the best hockey in the world, it ain't going to be a better product than what you saw yesterday morning. I mean, It's not. Now, the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, when they play that fast and they hit, now, the first month of the Stanley Cup playoffs, that's the best hockey in the world. But from now until then, what you saw yesterday morning is as good as it gets.
And a lot of those guys who were the heroes for the U.S. team play on teams that aren't going to do a lot in the postseason.
Right.
Jack Hughes is not going to make the playoffs.
No.
Dylan Larkin will be lucky to make the playoffs. Hellebuyck plays for Winnipeg.
Yeah,
they're not right now in the playoffs.
No.
Quinn Hughes playing for the Wild. They will make the playoffs.
Right. Here's the problem, though. And, okay, right now they're expected to lose in the first round of the playoffs to a better team.
And the crybaby of the Olympics is expected to go deep into the playoffs. He played for Canada. And, I said it before that I think 3 of the 4 best players in the world, and maybe the 3 best players of the world, all played for Canada. In McKinnon, McDavid, and Makar. So we would love to see. What's that? McKinnon. McKinnon. He's a crybaby. You don't miss a wide. Look at. All right. Here. Nathan McKinnon cost his team a gold medal. Period. End of sentence. He had a wide open net in the third. Wide open. 6x4 to shoot that damn thing in. And he missed it a foot wide. It didn't hit the post, hit the side of the net.
Right.
He
And
missed
he
it by
was
12 inches, and
was he
no one on him. No one touched his stick. All he had to do was shoot that into the net, and he missed. And then after the game says, you decide who the better team was. Hey, how about you and your whiny face when you got the little mascot thing and your whining face when you're doing the interview? How about admit that you choked? Because you cost your team the gold medal. If anybody else on that, if McDavid, Celebrini, there's a million guys that could have said that. Kyle McCarr, there's a bunch of them that could have said it. But Nathan McKinnon, you crybaby loser.
I just
You
wanted to make
cost your
sure.
team the gold medal. Why didn't you say I had an open net and blew it? Go listen to his interview and then listen to Jack Hughes and the way he spoke.
I will say, though, that's a tough one for Canada to swallow. And it's not just because you took silver when you wanted gold and all that, but, you know, we mentioned hockey and soccer. You know, you throw a goaltender in the mix, anything can happen. In a one game winner take all, anything can happen. Tough to steal a series. It happens. It has happened. Okay, but it's tough to steal a series. But any goalie can steal a game.
And yesterday, the U.S. did.
Yes, absolutely. And even though it benefited the U.S. in both the quarterfinals and the final, absolutely hate the 3-on-3.
I hate every part of it.
Why couldn't we? It's the last game. Okay, just play 5-on-5 till somebody scores. Who cares if it takes 3 hours? Where are they going? Hate it. It's not hockey. I'm sorry.
No.
It's a gimmick.
No. And, I looked at my buddy who was here, was the non-hockey guy. Con, you played hoop. You played hoop at a pretty high level. Your team won a state title in basketball. Could you imagine if you got to one of those games on your way to a state title in overtime and they said, all right, we're playing 3-on-3?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't care. If
Canada benefited twice, and then the third time the U.S. benefited twice.
I don't
still
care
don't
if
like
all
it.
the closing ceremonies and they're using that arena. I don't care if everybody's lined up outside watching the game on the big screens. Just keep playing till somebody scores. Golly. The starting five is next. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, Sarah did a nice job. It's a hotel room, Sonny. I'll be here for a couple of days, and then I move into I guess, it's called the Hope Lodge. Yes, he did, DC. Really important tomorrow that I talk the doctor into letting me drive.
Okay.
Because I've got to be a passenger riding next to my mother much longer. Tirico didn't call the gold medal game, Javier.
No, he didn't.
Kenny Albert called the game, and he was fantastic again.
Yeah. Kenny had
He had a great Olympics. He had a great Olympics.
Really good tournament. I thought Olczyk was great. I thought he waited his time and he pointed things out after the play and with the I thought Olczyk was terrific. He was the host, Javier.
He was the Olympic host. And he did a good job in between periods. I thought the questions he asked Olczyk were good. I thought he was, he's good at what he does.
Yeah. He's a legendary skirt chaser, but yeah, he's phenomenal on television. I thought he was terrific with Eruzione in the pregame.
Yep. I thought it was funny that they teased Arodi and played the last minute 5 and didn't play his goal initially. And I thought his little comment was, you didn't think we weren't going to play this. I will say, I don't know who pointed it out on X, but they showed the Eruzione goal in the camera work, and they showed the Hughes goal, and they're showing crowd shots instead of showing Jack Hughes, and ripped the hell out of the director for that. And I think he's on to something.
I think DC's onto something. Can you make the case to your doc in which you go, listen, you guys are doing yeoman's work, but if you don't allow me to drive, it's going to negate a lot of the progress we're making.
Oh, trust me, planning on it. Way ahead of you guys.
Well, I will say, Pius, there, you go back. When Crosby scored it 16 years ago, they called it the golden goal.
What do you want him to call it?
Well, yeah, he says they stole it.
It's an overtime goal
for the gold medal.
The gold medal. I'll tell you what, I'll give you the rest of the week to come up with something better.
They said the same when Crosby scored 16 years ago, it was the golden goal. I did feel badly he couldn't play.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Final Monday of February. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark out of Moffett at a nearby hotel, soon to be at nearby permanent
Hope Lodge.
lodging
Yes.
for about 9 weeks. But
where I can actually cook a meal. There's a kitchen there for me. Well, I can't cook the meal. I'm not allowed to cook. There's a lot of rules with what's going on in my body. They don't want me in a kitchen. I mean, I can't play golf. I can't, I can't. I mean, there are more rules than I've had to follow more rules and will continue to follow more rules for the next 3 to 6 months than I ever have in my life.
But you are allowed to eat, correct?
Oh, yes, David.
and you are now outside the confines of Moffett, so you are allowed to eat real food, correct?
Yes, David. I was snarky to the Moffett people for the first time yesterday because I'm doing outpatient stuff every day.
Sure.
And so I was there yesterday and talking to the nurse, and she's like, you're out. So I said, I went and got some good food. And she's like, where did you go? And I told her, she goes, oh, I love that restaurant. So she came back in at the end. I said, since you seem to be a little bit of a foodie, is there a pizza near me that's any good? Because I really wanted some pizza last night. And she said, I don't know, but Wayne's the pizza guy. So we go talk to Wayne. And Wayne says, well, do you want pizza or flatbread? And I looked at him. I said, did I say flatbread? I said, I want a pizza. One's a pizza, the other's a flatbread. I didn't say I want a flatbread. And then he goes on his phone and started looking up. And I said, Wayne, no offense, I can Google pizza joints too.
Right,
I'm asking you if there's a place that's good. Like, come on, guys.
We came to you because we were told you were the guy.
Now, there's some places in downtown Tampa that have gotten good ratings, but that's a 20-minute drive from where I am. I found a place called Hawkeye Pizza last night. Very good. Very happy with it.
Good.
They did a nice job. Enough that I would go back.
Okay. All right.
But a little pizza last night was delicious.
Hey, you earned it. And then some. 20 minutes before the hour. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is The Starting Five.
Brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through BST, business, sports, and tourism. The third time was the charm. It was the third time this century that the U.S. and Canada had played for the gold in hockey. Canada had won the first 2 times. And for just the third time ever, the U.S. men have won gold in hockey. 1960, 1980, and now 2026. Connor Hellebuck with 41 saves. Should have been the MVP of the tournament. Jack Hughes, the golden goal, a minute 41 into overtime. 2-1 USA in a game that lived up to all the hype and was played at a staggeringly high level. Olympics are over. They passed the torch from Italy to France. They'll have the next Winter Olympics in 2 years. Los Angeles will have the Summer Olympics. The final medal count, Norway had the most medals with 41, the most golds with 18. U.S. second in medals with 33, in gold with 12. It ended up being 12 gold, 12 silver, 9 bronze for the United States in these Winter Olympics. You know what's interesting about the next Winter Olympics? Apparently it's going to be the same way as Italy, like these were very spread out. But at least the whole Olympics were in Italy. Apparently in France, when they do it, they're going to be spread out like crazy, but they don't have any place to do speed skating. So they're going to do
in the whole country?
In the whole country. And apparently they're not building something. So apparently the speed skating's happening in either Italy or the Netherlands. What the heck?
Okay. I feel badly for the speed skaters, quite frankly, because they're not part of the village and really part of the games. Right. You know, it was when they had the games in Atlanta, though, David, it was in the same country, but they had some of the rafting events in Florida. So it wasn't all in Atlanta, if you know what I mean. That goes back a few years, but I do remember that being quite spread out.
To golf. Jacob Bridgman's a 26-year-old third-year touring pro, and he took a 6-shot lead into the final round at Riviera, and he needed all of it. He shot a 1 over 72, but it was enough to hold off Rory McIlroy and Kurt Kitayama to win the Genesis by 1. It was an elevated signature event. He won $4 million.
Had a buddy text me yesterday where he was a pro, where this guy was like, considered the pro member, and he's played with him a few times and couldn't have been happier. Just said he's a super guy. He says he's a great golfer, but he's a super young man, and he was just over the moon for his victory yesterday.
Been a remarkable 9 weeks in his life. He finished top 5 at Pebble. He wins here at Genesis. Oh, by the way, 9 weeks ago, he got married his college sweetheart. They went to high school together, but didn't date in high school. Started dating at Clemson. So congratulations to Jacob Bridgman. Tell you what, he's a confident guy. Like when asked about, how you dreamt your first win, and he said, well, to be honest with you, I dreamt I had a 4-shot lead walking up 18, not a 1. Adam Scott with a 63 in the final round finished 4th. Morikawa and Fleetwood finished 7th. Scheffler and Spieth both finished 12th. Scheffler made the cut on the number. I think this is what Scotty's going to do in 2026. Winning the way he has the last 2 years, kind of boring. He's going to spot the field a day to a day and a half this year and see how high he can finish.
Yeah, for about another month, David. Trust me, it won't be long before he starts putting 4 rounds together.
He's got a 1st, a 2nd, a 4th, and a 12th so far this year on tour, and he's probably played a C game so far. To the NBA, 11 games yesterday. Give it up for Orlando. The day before, they lost a double overtime game in Phoenix. I know it's a short flight to LA, but they beat the Clippers 111-109. Bane with 36. They're 2-1 so far on the 4-game West Coast trip. Knicks, back-to-back nights, back-to-back wins. Boy, the Bulls have become terrible. 105-99, Knicks in Chicago. Karl Anthony Towns, who leads the league in double-doubles, had 28 points, 11 rebounds. Charlotte beat Washington, 129-112. Right now, they're the 10 seed, and Chicago and Milwaukee are a game and a half back for the final play-in spot. Atlanta's the 9 seed. They beat Brooklyn by 11. Celtics blew out the Lakers, 111-89. No Luka. They did, however, build a statue for Pat Riley in an Armani, and they honored him yesterday before the game.
Magic's little speech was phenomenal about Riley, just talking about, he was a great coach, and he was a great, well-dressed coach, and they had Kareem, and they had McAdoo, and they had Jamal Wilkes, and they had everybody there. It was, they had the Showtime Lakers there in support. It was well done by the Lakers.
I thought Riley was funny in which he said, I'd like to thank James Worthy for being the only person to wear a tie. Everyone else, you're fined $2,000. OKC snapped Cleveland's 7-game winning streak without SGA. They beat the Cavs 121-113. Toronto, they're the 5 seed. They beat Milwaukee 122-94. There were a lot of blowouts in the NBA yesterday. 20-plus point wins. Golden State beat Denver by 11, 128-117, despite no Steph and no Draymond. Well, Jokic did all he could. Did you see his stat line?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, a little 35 points, 20 rebounds, 12 assists, and they still lost by double digits. Dallas snapped the 10-game losing skid. They won in Indiana by 4. How could Minnesota lose at home to the Sixers by 27 with their full lineup? What is that all about? Tyrese Maxey with 39 in the Philly 135-108 win. And Portland won in Phoenix 92-77. They're the 9 seed, are the Blazers. And they're just 2 games below 500.
And by the way, you could win a lot of bets right now if you were to ask the question, who has the best record by winning percentage in the NBA? Because while most of you would say Oklahoma City, the answer to that question is the Detroit Pistons.
Yes, it
Wow.
is. I know.
Wow.
College hoops, big games over the weekend. Number 3 Duke upset number 1 Michigan 68-63 Saturday night. Earlier on Saturday, number 4 Arizona went to number 2 Houston and beat them 73-66. Gators, their 4th straight road win by 19 or more points in the SEC. That's never been done before, by the way. Ohio State lost yesterday at Michigan State 66-60. Buckeyes are on the bubble. They really needed that one. Wisconsin at home took care of Iowa by 13. A-Sun quickly. FGCU had a 4-game homestand. They swept it. Bit of a miracle win on Saturday. They played Central Arkansas, who was the second-place team in the league, who'd won 11 in a row. Central Arkansas missed 3 free throws in the final 5 seconds. FGCU had to go 94 feet in 3 seconds and managed to do it with a layup at the buzzer to force overtime and win. They've got 2 winnable games on the road to end the season. They're going to play the worst team in the league in the first round of the A-Sun playoffs. That's the type of win Saturday that can change a season. We'll see if it happens. By the way, Austin Peay leads the league by 2 games. They went to Jacksonville and beat JU. North Alabama remains the last place team. They lost to Lipscomb by 22. And North Florida is second to last in the league. They lost at Stetson 76-71. Finally, NASCAR. Tyler Reddick, first NASCAR driver in 17 years to win the first 2 races of a season. He goes back-to-back by winning in Atlanta. They went to overtime twice with green-white checkered. He won it the second time. Chase Briscoe was second.
I mean, doing all that while coaching the Lakers is pretty good. Oh, not JJ, Tyler Reddick. Sorry.
Tyler Reddick, right. Chase Briscoe kept getting in the way of Ross Chastain. He blocked him because he drives a Toyota and so does Reddick. So he made sure that the Chevy, Ross Chastain, didn't have a shot at the win. Because if he didn't block Chastain on that final lap, Chastain had the car to win that race. Bubba Wallace had the lead heading into the second OT. Second race in a row where he had the lead late. Finished 10th at Daytona, finished 8th in Atlanta. And at 9 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories you need to know. Brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. Yeah. So.
Pretty good sports weekend with a bang. I mean, the fact that that goal, David, was the final play of the Olympics. That was it.
Right. Yep.
I mean, that's how Jack Hughes ended the Olympics.
He did. At around 5 in the afternoon in Italy. That's why I say we couldn't have just played 5-on-5 till it ended. Come on. Come on now. They got to change this. If you want to do it in the preliminary rounds, we got a bunch of games, don't want to wear guys out. Okay, fine. Come on. Well, the 3-on-3 is crap. I'm sorry. I know it's exciting.
We said that coming in.
Right.
I had a buddy of mine who who lives in upstate New York. He's a hockey guy. He loved it. And this isn't the casual fan. He's a season ticket holder for an NHL team, or was. And it was, he said because he's close enough that he was listening to Canadian radio after. And that was their complaint. They weren't complaining about the too many men call. They were complaining about 3-on-3 overtime. And I'm right there with them. We said it going into the tournament.
Yeah.
We talked about this before the Olympics began. We told you what the rules were going to be, that it was 3-on-3 for 10 minutes. And then there was going to be a shootout in the quarters and the semis. And then it was 3-on-3 until it was over in the gold medal game. Turned out, what did we have? 4 or 5 overtime games between the 7 games that were played? 3 of the 4
Well-
quarters went to overtime, 1 of the 2 semis, and then the gold medal game.
Yeah. And did Canada play 3 in a row?
Yeah. And 1, 2 or 3.
Yep. By the way, the
But they didn't
Canadians,
beat the U.S.
no, they didn't. This great Canadian team, the last 3 games of the tournament, do you know how much of those 3 games they led? 3% of them. Get ready, Southwest Florida. The Southwest Florida Ag Expo is back. Now's the time to save big with the Mega Pass, your all-in-one ticket to the fun, one low price. Get your one-day admission and unlimited midway rides. Mega Passes available online through February 26th at swflagexpo.com. Don't wait. Grab yours. Get ready for roots, rides, and real fun. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
At the Diamond District, we believe more is more.
More diamonds, more selection, more fire. You truly can have it all.
During our Diamond event, March 6th through 8th.
Layered bracelets, dazzling earrings, statement rings. Because when it comes to diamonds, more is more.
Then leave drenched in diamonds, March 6th through 8th. Only at the Diamond District. Hablamos Español.
Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
Hey, Southwest Florida, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. For you that haven't tried us yet, you gotta get in here and try my favorite 5 Chicago-style sandwiches. I got the Italian beef, I got the Italian sausage, the sausage and beef, the Maxwell Street Polish, and our soon-to-be famous breaded steak. Call us at either one of our locations in Bonita Springs and Fort Myers. Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced jardiniere.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So, Swamp Muggy, I'm not supposed to watch the overtime in the Olympics. I hate the 3-on-3. Hate it. Hate every part of it. So you don't want me to watch? I can't watch the Olympic hockey because I don't like it. And Michael, I've got to be honest. I'm sure it was out there. I didn't see anybody complaining about Russia not being in and us not deserving the gold, because Canada was, even if Russia played, Canada was the best team.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing about the Russian team that would have been there is that there is no way you could argue that they wouldn't have had the best goaltending. I mean, Russia has the best goaltenders in the world. And they could have stolen games with that. But I think, I don't know if they would have been ranked ahead of the U.S. team, to be brutally honest. It would have been close.
I don't think they would have. They probably would have been seated third.
Yeah, Jack, I don't know which Hughes, but I was texting with Kess. The Hughes boys, a couple of them played in the tournament, the Christmas tournament at Hertz when they were kids.
Really?
Yeah, because they started in Orlando before they
right,
and because he was the coach of the assistant of the Solar Bears,
right.
And yeah, I didn't see any of that, Michael. I honestly, I read a lot. I never saw anybody say it wasn't a real gold because the Russians weren't there. Now, I don't think it's a real tournament without the Russians playing in it.
Michael, I literally, I'd love to know, name the person who said that, you know, it wasn't legit because the Russians weren't there.
Well, if some of your friends are not really experts, Michael. No offense. I didn't see one media person put that out there. Not once.
Or a player or coach or.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this final Monday of February. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Man, is it cold or is it just chilly? I'm going to argue where I am in Jacksonville that it's cold. It's in the 30s. It's low 40s in Tampa. It's low 40s in Tampa. It's mid 40s in Southwest Florida. Maybe Southwest Florida gets to 60 today. Maybe. Tampa Bay will not. Goodness knows Jacksonville's barely going to make it into the 50s. They're not going to see 60s until Wednesday. We're going to have 3 cold mornings in a row. 3. Next decent morning temperature-wise will be Thursday morning in the state of Florida. And to our friends in Huntsville, we feel for you, man. It got cold. Heck, it was in the 30s at the end of the NASCAR race in Atlanta last night once the sun set. By the way, Michael Jordan's a new guy. How many interviews with Michael Jordan had you seen the last 3 years in NASCAR? Okay, Michael Jordan was giving
as many as I've seen in the last 2 weeks.
Right. Michael Jordan.
No. I mean, because, well, I don't.
I got it. You're breaking up again. Hopefully it'll level off. But Jordan gave in-race interviews last night in Atlanta. I've never seen him do that before. Never. He is feeling it. And his guy won again. So he is really feeling it. He got asked about the cold last night. Mark, and he said, got to be honest, no, I'm not feeling it at all. Feels pretty good to me.
That
Okay.
should. Won back-to-back
Yep.
races, but
Yep.
again, right now I'm where I need to be with that sport. I find out who wins on Monday morning when you do the starting five.
See, well, first off, I mean, come on, with everything you're going through and what have you, I didn't expect a whole lot of, once the hockey was over, I didn't expect a whole lot of TV viewing yesterday. There is good food and good friends to be had and spend time with. Okay. But yesterday worked out really well. Okay. I mean, it did. The basketball ended and then the golf ends and then NASCAR went for another hour and a half. It was fantastic. It was a perfect sports day. 8 a.m. big hockey game. I mean, oh my goodness. Fantastic.
And I watched the golf. I didn't watch a whole lot of hoop. I watched the hockey, obviously, and then I watched the golf. But David, can I bash the Canadians for a second again? Because not only is Nathan McKinnon a big whiner and really needs to shut up, and I love him as a hockey player, but he's a big whiner. And I thought, showed his ass yesterday, saying, well, you judge who the better team was. And then they got him. And look, we talked about it with the women's Canadian team. And David even said he felt badly for them because not only do they get the silver medals when they're all crying, then they hand those stupid stuffed animals to all of them. And for the life of me, why they're handing out the stuffed animals, David, I don't know. I really do not know.
Italy didn't do much wrong in the Olympics. They got the condom order wrong. Okay. They only got like 3% of the number of condoms that they wanted to hand out. So they had ran out of condoms like an hour and a half into the Olympics. And the stuffed animal thing at the medal ceremony. Nah.
I mean, did someone else have to get their name announced? Someone on the committee, did they had to make sure everybody on the committee got their name announced X number of times? I have no idea, David.
I don't either.
But there was the controversy of the Canadian Olympic men's curling team.
Oh, yeah.
And they end up winning gold.
Yes, they did.
And David Schumacher, who is the CEO of the Canadian Olympic Committee, compared the double touching scandal to a foot fault in tennis or traveling in basketball. Now, David, let me just take a second and point out where I do not like traveling in basketball, but they don't call it on anyone and everyone does it. I'm still waiting for the evidence of you showing me any other team that did what you did.
Right.
Because it would seem to me, for as much as you and I are on X to follow stories, that someone that we follow would have reposted an American player, a Swiss player, a Swedish player, someone, Great Britain, double touching. I didn't see it. I saw your guy do it. I saw him lie and say he didn't do it.
Correct.
And then I saw him tell a player from the other team to F off. All on microphone, all on camera. So I would just take your gold and shut up. Because you're not coming out of this Olympics very well. This is supposed to be the nice country, the polite country. And you look like whiners and crybabies. So, way to go, Canada. Continue to embarrass yourself, and I'll continue to laugh at you.
I will say both hockey games, though, very tough for Canada to take. You made the comment you thought Canada women outplayed the U.S. women.
I thought they did.
That the U.S. women were tight. They were nervous. They had outscored everybody 31-1 heading to the final. And Canada got an early second period goal and nearly made it stand up. Just like, we got a mid first period goal and it was looking like we were going to make it stand up. But the U.S. women win in overtime. U.S. men win in overtime. Now, I do think in the women's case, the U.S. team was better.
Yes.
Okay,
And
they
I thought
proved it.
I do agree with McKinnon. I thought the Canada team played better yesterday.
Yeah.
If he would have just said, "Hey, we played our tails off and we got beat by a better goalie," there was a million ways to say what he said and have a little integrity. But the fact of the matter is, the guy that said it got beat off the puck and out-muscled on the game-winning goal and missed a wide-open net that would have given Canada the lead, and there would have never been overtime. He choked. If Canada wants to blame the game on one guy, it's Nathan McKinnon. It is. I'm sorry.
For the supposed second best player in the world, I mean, if by chance you didn't see it, he's 4 feet, 5 feet from the net.
Right.
If he's 6 feet, he's a long ways away. He has the entire net to shoot at, not half of the net, not the goalie making his way across the crease. No, he had the puck on his stick, and the goalie was literally on the other side of the crease, facing in the wrong direction. And he missed the net from 5 feet and missed the entire net.
By a foot.
Not half the net.
Put it this way. For you golfers, it's a 3-foot putt and you don't hit the hole.
Exactly. It's Scott Hoke at the Masters. That's what McKinnon did. No big deal or anything. It was just for the gold medal. But had an opportunity, by the way, to say that. Had an opportunity to say, well, I mean, I blame myself. I had a wide open net late third and missed the net. That puck's got to be on net. And if it is, it would have been a goal. So that's sports. It's sports. I feel like I let the room down. I'm a little surprised, actually, he didn't go that route. Hockey guys especially.
Right. I mean,
talk about the room all the time.
A terrible question, in my opinion, in the post-game presser where someone tried to get on Matthews of how he takes this back to the NHL regular season. And Matthews says, I'm just trying to live in the moment. And the Hughes brothers annihilate the reporter.
Yes, they did.
Annihilate him. And say, he won a gold medal. You can't call him anything but a winner from this point forward. He won a medal. That's what the people in Toronto should be writing about. And both Hughes brothers make a really nice comment about Matthews. And Matthews just says, yeah, I'm not saying anything else. It was fantastic.
I'll tell you what, I'll make you a prediction. As soon as he can get out of Toronto, he will. Whenever that contract's up, I say he gone. He gone. He's already doing minimal media there, okay? And it's tough when you wear the C to do for a Canadian franchise to do minimal media. But he's started to do that this year. He's sick of them. And I'm curious.
And I will say the feeling's probably mutual.
Yeah, right. Tell you, Ed Olczyk said when he's done, he thinks he'll be the best and highest scoring American player ever.
Well, and that's why I was so, if they lose that game, I think we're all over Matthews in was it the second period that he's got
first
period on the power play. He's got the puck
first.
He's got the puck in a goal scoring spot and tried to make a pass. And the fact of the matter is that Austin Matthews is a goal scorer. He's not a playmaker. He's a goal scorer. That's got to go on net.
Yes.
And he had a good tournament. I don't think he had a great tournament, but he had a good tournament. He played a really solid 200-foot game. He back-checked his ass off and deserves credit for that.
I do have a question. If I were to present to you, you have the highest scoring guy in the tournament, but he played on the team that finished second. And then you had the goaltender who gave up 6 goals in 5 games and just put forth the most legendary goaltending performance in the history of men's Olympic hockey. Who would you vote for MVP?
I'd have voted the goaltender.
You're damn right. Okay.
He won
his
the
goals-
tournament for the U.S. He won the
his-
tournament.
His save percentage was 96%.
They were perfect on the penalty kill. Who's the most important person on the penalty kill? The goaltender.
I mean, Connor McDavid's amazing, but do you have to keep giving him every trophy?
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for details.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, Johnny O. It was like a $550,000 butt. And tough to miss the cut in a signature event. No, apparently they ordered 300,000 and got 10,000.
At some point, I'm thinking right now. Wait till you go to the lobby or outside for that matter. Oh, come on. Tell me you wouldn't do it, Paula. I've jumped right past socks and gone to slippers, Sonny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, mother? You're on camera when you pop in there, just so you know.
Hi, Mom. Been a prominent topic of conversation, Matthew. How about the Bearcats winning 4 in a row? I'd be saving that coach's job.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Dave McCarthy at the top of the hour. We'll look back at USA versus Canada for the gold yesterday. And do we think it'll be any carryover for the NHL season the rest of the way?
I really don't.
And it's why we're not asking that as a poll question today, because we think there'll be too much recency bias. Now, give it the rest of the week, and early next week we could ask you, hey, how much hockey have you watched in the last 5-6 days? And then I think that'll give us a true reading as to whether or not it's, made an impact. Mike Miller, in a little over an hour, he's with the Field of 68. Was a tremendous college basketball weekend. Great Saturday. And we'll talk to him about the top 4 teams in the country all playing each other. And the 2 underdogs winning. How about that?
And look, I'm not putting Sparty in Michigan's class, but I saw a stat because Duke played Michigan State this year as well. Duke's held the 2 point guards, and Michigan State's got a pretty good one, to like 2 of 30 shooting or something like that. I mean, defensively, what Duke has been able to do to good guards is impressive. So I just thought that was a fascinating stat, because neither game is the type of game, the Duke, Michigan, nor the Houston, Arizona, that you and I like.
Oh, no,
that's not the style that you and I enjoy watching at all. That is, a little bit of what David and I complain about, the overcoaching, the over defense of the game. And that's what, that's the way Houston plays all the time. So for Arizona to win at Houston's game, I give them a lot of credit for that.
Absolutely.
But Duke only had one way to beat Michigan, and that was to play that style. And they did an incredibly good job, and they were able to get the Wolverines. Now, if Michigan gets to play Duke again in the tournament, we'll see if Michigan can adapt and get a little more tempo to beat Duke if they get them a second time. But they struck, Duke's defense was stifling.
Well, we said it. We said it when Michigan became number one for the first time in 13 years. And then with the way they dismantled Purdue and how well they shot. And we said it looks like the only way you can beat Michigan is either you have to force it or they just have to have an awful game shooting the ball. And it was probably a little bit of both. But Michigan, who went to Mackey Arena, one of the toughest places to play in the country, and faced a legitimate top 10, 12 team in the nation, and shot over 50% from beyond the arc and 50% from inside the arc, shot 24% from beyond the arc against Duke, 6 of 25. They were, however, over 50% inside the arc. All right. You wonder if next time the threes aren't going, does Dusty May and company maybe just not rely on the three so much? We'll see.
Well, in the other thing in that game is Duke destroyed them on the glass.
Yeah.
Plus 13 on the glass, plus 5 on the offensive glass. And
Right.
if you watch that game against Purdue, Michigan killed Purdue on the offensive glass. While they were great at shooting threes, it was, David, to me, it was reminiscent of good Duke teams. When they miss threes, they get rebounds and end up getting another one, and someone's wide open and they bury it on you. That's what they did against Purdue. Duke, in turn, they didn't even shoot the three ball that well. They were only 30% from beyond the arc, 32% or something like that. But they destroyed Michigan on the glass. That was the surprise of the game to me.
I'm with you. With Michigan's size to be minus 11 on the boards, yeah, that's a pretty simple game. Minus 11 on the boards, 6 of 25 from three. That's a pretty simple game to digest right there. Michigan lost only committing 7 turnovers. Wow. Miller and Moulton. Can I go back to one more hockey thing?
Sure. Not going to get me to say no.
I'm a 60-year-old guy, and I'm a little emotional. I'm a little more emotional in the last 18 months than I have been the whole rest of my life.
Thanks for trying to catch up with me, David. I appreciate it.
You bet, Mark. Well, we both have rubbed off a lot on each other, and you're right. I am becoming a little bit more like you in this sense. But I don't think that was it. But when Team USA, and you and I both knew, we knew if they won, the Goudreau jersey was coming out.
Never a doubt in our minds.
I mean, they set up his locker. They have it in it. They flew out the Goudreau family, who I guess initially was resistant to come, and Team USA begged them, please. And they said, okay, but they weren't out at the beginning of the tournament. They came out like heading into the quarterfinals. And I was okay when they were when the Kachuk brothers were skating around with the Goudreau jersey. I was okay. When they brought his 3 and 2-year-old kids out onto the ice and have them in the official team on the ice win the gold medal photo, holding up the Goudreau jersey with a kid on each side of it, I bawled.
Yeah, you and me both. I got a text from my buddy. He said the same thing. I got a text from my son. He said the same thing. I mean, That's a poll question right there. Did you cry when the Goudreau kids came out? Because if you say no, it's like the text we got about would you sleep with your sister-in-law, that you're a bunch of liars if you said no. If you didn't cry, then you're a hard person. I mean, you are a hard man or woman if you didn't cry when those Goudreau kids were on the ice. That was awesome.
My wife comes around the corner and she's like, "What's the matter?" And I'm like, I need a minute. I need to compose myself. And I ended up explaining it to her, and I was not composed. And she's like, "Oh, wow." I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, I remember that story." I go, "Yeah, it was only a year and a half ago. Kind of hard to forget it. Pretty tragic." Yeah.
Right, because those two kids they're never going to remember their father. And the third child, who was with mom's just a baby, she was 7 months pregnant when her husband was killed.
Right.
So,
and so,
what a moment.
Mean, as if the team wasn't likable just because they won. I mean, we love winners. The team didn't have to do a thing. But, oh, my goodness. Yeah. I mean, I felt like, was it Bill Murray in Stripes? Come on now. Who cried when Old Yeller died? It's okay. Yeah. Who cried when Old Yeller died? I mean, I just bawled for like a minute and a half. I don't cry like that. I mean, and yet I didn't kick myself either. I didn't go like, "Man, what's wrong with you? What's happening with you?" It just,
Yeah, Kachuk had the one kid. I think Larkin had the other, and then they had the jersey up there, and it was just a great moment. And, obviously, that whole post game starts with they get Jack Hughes on the interview, and he gives the most hockey answer in the history of answers about the team and love of country and how great he loves these guys. And it's for the guys before us. It's for the guys after us. I mean, that will be played forever at the Olympics. And to think they could actually top that moment by bringing the Goudreau kids down on the ice, well, they did. And USA beating Canada in overtime, giving us everything we wanted and then some. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Get ready, Southwest Florida. The Southwest Florida Ag Expo is back. Now's the time to save big with the Mega Pass. Your all-in-one ticket to the fun, one low price. Get your one-day admission and unlimited midway rides. Mega Passes available online through February 26th at swflagexpo.com. Don't wait. Grab yours. Get ready for roots, rides, and real fun. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Not in a million years. There were two teams. No. Most of the league's Canadian. No. I don't think any of them would do it either. CS. No. And by the way, Michael, I'm telling you right now, you know, McKinnon, I don't know if he's the favorite for the Hart because McDavid's leading in points, McKinnon's second and leading in goals. If you don't think that answer and his whining like a little you-know-what, that's going to, I think it cost him the Hart Trophy. Writers have long memories. I'm telling you right now. And the fact is they were great for the first, 40, 50 games. They've been just okay since then. Well, I feel bad for Edmonton and McDavid because they've needed one thing now forever, and that's a goaltender. I blame the GM there. No, Michael, I'm telling you, I think, look, there's a lot of people that vote for the MVP that are Canadian. That answer is not going to help him for Hart Trophy votes. I'm telling you right now. It shouldn't have anything to do with it, but media, they're different folk. They think that their self-righteousness plays out when they vote on these things. So, by the way, it looks like my hair is coming out. It didn't happen, and I didn't think I was going to lose it. So I'm losing the hair from the chemo. Should I go mohawk first or just shave the whole thing?
Is that a poll question? Is that our poll question today?
Could be. You are going to see a lot of melon on this show tomorrow.
Uh-oh. So you're going up there? I mean, you don't know anybody up there. You're going to trust a stranger?
There's a salon in Moffat.
Gotcha.
I will actually do it right there. I'm going to get my blood work done today and then probably go have and shave my head. I don't do hats, John. I mean, that's, you know what? I got to have my wife bring up a couple of hats. Good call.
Do you want me? I got a CBS Sports hat. You want it?
I'm good. I got hats. I got plenty of hats. I just don't wear them.
Gotcha. Johnny Mac, I don't know. Did you catch Mike Joy's funny line? So yeah, whoever had the Morgan & Morgan car in one of the late wrecks, he got caught up in it. So he goes into the pits and you see the Morgan & Morgan sponsorship clear as day. And Mike Joy's lines was something along the lines of, yeah, you can't plea bargain that away.
Mark, I got a ton of 96 K-Rock hats I can throw your way.
Wow, you guys are great.
There was a guy in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Tim Carlson, and he was the main sports guy at the #1 station, and he ended up having cancer, and he said, hey, I'm going to lose it. Send me hats. And they sent him thousands, and he ended up wearing a different hat every sportscast.
Awesome.
He'd wear a one at 6 and one at 11.
That's awesome.
And he'd give a plug to, you know, who sent it to him and what have you. It became a thing. That was a great guy.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Dave McCarthy will join us from NHL Network, NHL.com. Sirius XM NHL radio. By the way, I was very impressed with Sirius XM NHL radio. Ended up having to run an errand late afternoon, and they replayed the game in its entirety and replayed postgame. So the part of their coverage that I caught was the first 30 or so minutes of postgame. Now, NHL Network Radio is based in Toronto. They're all Canadian, and they're homers. Now, they're not anti-US, but, I mean, the whole channel was rooting for Canada. And to a man, there were 4 guys on the postgame show. To a man, okay, none of them complained about anything. Didn't make any excuses. And in fact, 2 of the 4 said, you know how I feel. If you win, you're the better team. Okay. And one of them even said, I don't want to hear it that you outplayed them. That's not how it works. Okay. And you got to give the due the due. And I was like, all right, way to go.
Not bad, because you're right. That might as well have been Canadian NHL radio, if you know what I mean.
I mean, they you know, they're not anti-US at all. They like the US, okay? They like the US team, but they are pro-Canadian. And the whole channel's based in Canada. So I was impressed. I was like, hey, way to call it straight. Good for you guys. Because
if only Nathan McKinnon could have had that same attitude. So many different ways he could have answered that question.
Yep.
If, you know, to me, if he says, hey, if there's one guy you want to blame, it's me. I missed an open net. I was on the ice for the goal against. If you want to blame someone, blame me. It's on me. And then, you know what he looks like? Like a classy athlete instead of a crybaby.
It is tough to outplay the other team and lose. It just is. It sucks. And they did outplay the U.S. Oh, my goodness, did they outplay the U.S.?
Particularly in the second. Particularly in the second period. They owned the second period. And they had the 5-on-3 power play they didn't score on. I mean.
Now, we haven't mentioned this hardly at all. Do you know what it reminded me of? What was yesterday?
Well, it was the anniversary 46 years later of the United States beating Russia at Lake Placid.
And
to the day, folks.
Correct. February 22nd, to the point where maybe United States hockey needs to do something about February 22nd. But anyway, in that game, you know, we score the goal with a second to go at the first. They pull Tretiak, the whole deal. People forget, in the second period, shots on goal were 16-3, Russia. Jim Craig single-handedly kept us in the tournament. They dominated the game. And we weren't doing much in the first 8-9 minutes of the third period either. We had like 5 shots on goal since we tied it at 2. Shots were like 28-5 over a 28-minute span of hockey. And there's that second period unfolding and the 5-on-3 and they kill it. And I'm thinking to myself, I've seen this in a second period before on February 22nd.
But then to get the power play from the U.S. in the third and they get 4 minutes.
I know.
And do nothing with it.
I know.
And then obviously there's a penalty through it. So there was 40 some odd seconds of 4-on-4 hockey. Canada had some unbelievable chances there. Celebrini misses the net right after the power play. McKinnon misses the open net. So it was, and hey, you know, we've not really mentioned it, and I think you have to. The U.S. got away with one. That was a too many men on the ice call.
Totally.
And the referees, whether you give them credit for it or think it was a horrendous non-call, decided they weren't going to call too many men on the ice and have that decide the gold medal game.
Because what was it, like mid-third?
Yeah.
And they basically said, listen, unless you draw blood, we ain't calling anything. I mean, and those were NHL officials. So they had decided, listen, we ain't going to be the ones to call a hook here or a trip unless the guy's literally going in on a breakaway. And sure enough, what happened, Jack Wilson, hit Jack Hughes in the mouth and drew a lot of blood and took out 1.5 teeth. And the officials are like, well, blank, we got to call this.
So it was they got breaks. The paddle save by Hellebuyck was, I mean, it's because when watching it live, I didn't realize it hit his paddle. I'm sitting there going, how did that not go in?
Right.
When he had the puck behind the goaltender and shot, and all of a sudden it bounced to the corner, I'm like, how did he miss that? And it wasn't for me. If you saw it live, and you have better eyes than I do. But I watched that, and I'm like begging them for a replay at that point because I'm like, how did that not go in? And he managed to get his stick on it, reaching behind him, and it hits the paddle of the stick and bounds wide. The pictures that we've already seen, the still shot of that'll be over that man's fireplace for the rest of his life.
It's the save of his life. There's no doubt about it. And the U.S. ends up winning the gold in hockey for just the third time ever, first time in 46 years, on a pretty damn good day in the history of USA hockey, February 22nd.
And how about Brock Nelson, third generation from his family to have won gold?
I know.
That is amazing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it was good to see so many of the 1980 guys there. And good to see like Eruzione pregame talking about how they've established relationships with the current generation of USA hockey. And
Eruzione's what, like 70, right?
Well, sure. I mean, it's 40. He was like
23, 20. He was the oldest player on the team. So I think he was 24.
Right.
Right.
And it's 46 years later. So yeah. Yeah. Hoping to have him on the show tomorrow. Reached out to him yesterday when he was in Italy. So we'll see. Everybody's flying back today. Did you hear, by the way, with the storm in the Northeast? Because whoever had stayed in Italy, all the athletes, they were all being flown back today to New York. Well, that ain't happening. So they're all landed in Miami.
Watch out, elbow room. Watch out, Lauderdale.
Before some of those NHLers go back home, could be one more wild night together.
Well, I was texting with a buddy yesterday, and, my comment was it's going to be a go night. We used to call it a go night. When I worked in minor league hockey, and we would spend the night in the city and not leave until the next morning on a road trip. And, you had that day off. That was a go night. That was a go night. And I just said go night for the ages last night.
Goodness. Well, did you see the interview? They were already halfway on the way to getting hammered.
Yeah.
Tirico did post game.
Right.
Yep. Those guys were.
Yeah, he's got the Hughes brothers and Hellebuyck there. Larkin just puts his face over and yells something and leaves. It's fantastic.
It is. And it's like, good for you guys.
And, I thought that, the fact that the elbow room was hopping yesterday, think about it. Obviously it's the Panthers have brought the cup there after they've won. But the fact that the elbow room, a pretty famous Lauderdale Beach bar, is now thought of where you go to watch a hockey game.
Right.
That's amazing. Yeah. The one kid at Miami of Ohio there in Oxford, Ohio, that town was just going crazy. They made all the comments. You got to give Canada credit for they have the liquor laws on Sunday that you can't drink until noon. British Columbia opened the bars at 5 a.m. I think the rest of the country at 6, and the U.S. is really, New York, they have the same law. They opened at 6. Minnesota did the same thing so they could open their bars early. I mean, obviously, we don't have those laws in Florida. Don't kid yourself. So not a problem. But, Hat Tricks right by the arena was just jammed with people yesterday where Tampa plays. So, there was a bar in Naples, Florida that was jammed with people at 7 a.m. So that is, that's fantastic. But I still say, and I thought the point you made earlier is really the one people should pay attention to, David, because we've asked, what will this do for hockey? And not participation. Participation in hockey is strong.
Oh, my
We're
goodness,
playing the
yeah.
game from Florida to Arizona to everywhere in between.
Yep.
That's not a problem. Watching the game and watching the NHL product is. The ratings are not good.
No.
I mean, the WNBA does better than the NHL. It
Mhm.
does. So
Yep.
when you asked, what will this do to grow the sport? What David and I are talking about is ratings. And the fact of the matter is that the hockey was so damn good yesterday. If someone who just watched the Olympics and now wants to watch Quinn Hughes, Jack Hughes, whomever,
Mm-hmm.
the game's not going to be as good.
It's just
not going to be as fast. It just can't.
No.
That's the fastest hockey I've ever seen in my life. I was getting text from friends yesterday who are sports fans, but not necessarily hockey guys. And all of them were like, my God, is this fast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm.
So what does this do to the ratings for the NHL? I hate to say it. I don't know how much it will do. And think about it. We got a sweep. Not only did the men win, but the women won a gold medal.
Right.
So no one's ever watched more women's hockey than watched the gold medal game between the U.S. and Canada. It did a monster number.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. I mean, what did it do? 7 million?
To me, it's reminiscent when the U.S. won the first World Cup, and was it Brandi Chastain ripped her shirt off there? And I mean,
Right. 99. Yeah.
And we all watched. As a nation, we all watched and went, holy crap, we're good at women's soccer.
Yeah.
We're really good at women's soccer.
Yeah. And this ain't half bad. Huh. Even though, by the way, there wasn't a goal scored. Went to the shootout 0-0. But the Rose Bowl was packed, and they put the game on ABC on a Sunday afternoon in the middle of the summer. We went, yeah, okay, sure. What the
We're
heck?
in.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of, because it takes a few days to get television numbers unless they're outrageously good.
Right.
And I've been checking the NBC Sports PR account regularly during our show to see if somehow, some way, 24 hours post face-off, if they have any numbers for that game. And they're just U.S. numbers. When the ratings come in, it's just in the United States.
Right.
Trust me, every television in Canada had the game on yesterday.
Yeah.
It would be Super Bowl-esque from a rating standpoint in that country. But it will be the largest audience to have ever watched a hockey game in the United States, and it's not close.
The only thing I wonder is 1980, we only had 3 networks. And so I'm wondering, the Friday
rating
thing?
may be higher, David, but the number of people won't be.
Okay.
If you know what I mean, just population increase in 46 years.
No, I understand, but ABC on a Friday night or a Sunday morning, but it is NBC. So yeah, I'll be very curious. Like, I think it has a chance to do 20 million. Probably won't. Probably
I
do
think
15 to
15 is
17.
realistic, but and because it was so early, my buddy that was here from Portland, he had a buddy, the little text chain of friends. They were watching it at noon Portland time or 9 a.m. Portland time. He was like serving brunch and drinks. And I'm like, man, that's a lot of people that got to keep their phones off in the morning. That's the hard thing. We're all getting the updates on our phone. If you follow anything, it's popping up in your notifications. So it really is, it's tough to say how many people, whether it's LA or Arizona or Seattle, were watching the game yesterday.
I'll bet you also their streaming numbers were huge. Like I know two people who had to go to events yesterday. And so they were watching it on their phones. And one of the events was a sporting event. And my buddy said to me, he goes, 25, 30% of the place was watching the game on the phone, and everybody else was looking over their shoulder.
Miller and Moulton celebrating the gold from the U.S. hockey team. Thanks for listening.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Hey, Southwest Florida, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. For you that haven't tried us yet, you gotta get in here and try my favorite 5 Chicago-style sandwiches. I got the Italian beef, I got the Italian sausage, the sausage and beef, the Maxwell Street Polish, and our soon-to-be famous breaded steak. Call us at either one of our locations in Bonita Springs and Fort Myers. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced jardiniere.
At the Diamond District, we believe your I Do deserves more.
More selection, more sparkle, more diamonds. You'll find the ring for your forever.
During our Diamond event, March 6th through 8th.
Explore every cut, color, and carat weight imaginable, from timeless classics to striking modern designs.
Choose the ring that says it all. March 6th through 8th at the Diamond District. Hablamos Español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Rod, you know you got to call a guest here, right?
Yeah, he knows.
Okay, just pay.
Dave's ready.
Great.
Awesome.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home on this final Monday of February. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We'll talk a little college hoop in about 35 minutes with Mike Miller in the field of 68. But needless to say, we've been talking USA Canada for the majority of the show. Dave McCarthy covers hockey, whether it's writing about it on NHL.com, whether it's talking about it on SiriusXM's NHL Radio and the NHL Network. You can follow Dave on X at Dave A. McCarthy. Dave, the letter A, McCarthy. Dave, it's David and Mark. Good morning. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Well, thanks for having me, boys. Appreciate the invite.
Our pleasure, to say the very least. It was an amazing day of hockey. And we've been talking about the Hellebrook save throughout the show and just how big it was. And I was just kind of looking down your X timeline. You reposted what Butchergross put out there and said it's the best save in U.S. hockey history. You said it's the best save in the history of the sport. That is quite a statement, but I don't necessarily think you're wrong, Dave.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think when it comes down to, let's try to use a figure skating analogy here. When we look at it for technical merit, the save alone is incredible. To reach back like that with the paddle of your stick and pull it off the line is an extremely difficult thing to do if it's on a Tuesday night in September during the preseason. You do it then, it's the save of the year. But I think when you factor in the context under which the save occurred, that's why it raises to the level that I suggested. 1-1 early in the third period of a gold medal game at the Olympics, to keep the game tied when you're being caved in, quite frankly, by Canada, which allowed the stage to be set for Jack Hughes' heroics. I cannot think of a more impactful save at a more crucial time that was as difficult a save as it was than we saw from Connor Hellebuck on Devin Taves. I'll admit, I'm a journalist. I try to stay unbiased whenever I can. I was cheering yesterday. When it comes to countries and patriotism, damn right I'm cheering for Canada, and I'm not going to make any bones about that. And I got up off my couch and I screamed. I thought that was in the net. I thought Canada's taking the lead 2-1, and then somehow the puck's in the corner. And it took me a few seconds to regroup and figure out that it didn't go in. How did it not go in? And when you saw the replay, it just defies logic to be able to pull that off at that time of the game. And I've heard from a number of people that would substantiate my claim. I'm not in the hype game, boys. I'm really not. I don't. That's not what I do. The truth is enough. And I think in this case, when you break it down from those various different angles and facets and components, I don't think it's crazy to suggest that save might be the greatest save in the history of the game. They should put it on a quarter. They really should put that on a quarter in the United States, because it's that iconic.
Well, certain countries have put certain plays in the Olympics on stamps and what have you. That is the thought. He's Dave McCarthy, NHL.com, SiriusXM's NHL Network, and the NHL Network. Follow him on X at Dave, the letter A, McCarthy, Dave A. McCarthy. Can I, tie into the Canadian Dave McCarthy, not the unbiased journalist Dave McCarthy? How's this being received north of the border? I mean, this is as tough a loss as you can have. It's not just because it was for the gold medal in hockey in overtime to the Americans, but I mean, Canada did outplay the U.S. So just curious, how is this being swallowed north of the border?
Well, I think people are disappointed for sure, right? I mean, that was the irony, is that the game Canada played was by far the best game they had played at the tournament. And it turned out to be the only game that they had lost. But that's why they play the games. Somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. So I think people are disappointed. I think people certainly would have liked to have seen them win, but you can't win them all. And I think people understand that as well. Canada defeated the United States in every meaningful game at international level since the 1996 World Cup. That's a pretty good run. You know, you're not going to be perfect, and Connor Hellebuyck turned the tables in his on his resume. A guy that had never really been thought of as being able to deliver when the chips are pushed to the middle of the table, be it in the Stanley Cup playoffs or last year during the Four Nations final. This time around, he was unreal. He was all time. He was all world. He was as good a goaltending performance as you're ever going to see. And the goalie's allowed to be good on the other team. I always joke that in the NHL, the other goalie gets paid too, right? And in this case, he's trying to win, and he played as good as anyone I've ever seen. He was that good. And so when that's the case, it's going to be difficult to win. And the U.S. got Canada, and I think, like I said, people are disappointed, but I don't think it's a case that people are mortified, that we have to have a hockey summit or anything like that. They were right there, and they just got beat. They just got beat on Sunday. You come back 4 years, try to get them again next time. But there's no concern that this is the beginning of the end, and this is the erosion of Canada's hockey greatness. I know where I'm on right now, but let's be honest here. We all know who the best hockey country is, even if the result didn't go Canada's way yesterday, right, boys?
Well, yes. I mean, it is your sport. It would make the loss even more difficult to me. But I have been I've been all over McKinnon throughout this show. He's a great player. He might be the second best player in the world. But for him after the game to say, you all know who played better, when he gets knocked off the puck on the game-winning goal and misses a 6x4, he missed the net by a foot with a wide open net. There's 100 of ways he could have answered that question with a little grace and a little class, and he looks like a crybaby today. I thought he could have said, if you want to blame someone for this, it's me. I missed an open net. I was on the ice when the game-winning goal was scored. But instead he said, you can judge who the better team was. I think this will hurt McKinnon long-term. I don't know if that's a little bit of an overstatement, but I certainly don't think this helps the young man's case. Even when it comes to a Hart Trophy, I think voters are going to remember this, even though it had nothing to do with the NHL season. Am I that out of line with that?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, in all due respect. Look, Nathan McKinnon is a psychopathically intense guy. It's just his nature. And we remember what he said at the beginning of the tournament when he was asked, hey, you're gonna travel around a little bit, see some of the other some of the other events, check in on some of the sites, all that kind of stuff. And he was like, no, I'm not here to enjoy myself. The guy is about winning and only winning. And yes, when he doesn't win, he's a little upset about it, to put it mildly. 2021, when Colorado lost in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. You know, a lot of guys come up to the podium and they're like, yeah, you know, we gave it a shot and we were right there and I couldn't quite get it done and, you know, we got to be better. He comes up, he goes, I just wasted 10 months of my life. Like, so he is, as I say, he's pathologically devoted to winning. And he didn't win yesterday, and he was upset about it. And you're right. Look, he shoots that in the net 999 times out of 1,000. I don't know how he missed that one. I really don't. And luck was a little bit on the U.S.'s side right there. And, did he make a great play on the game-winning goal? No, I thought he was a little bit passive in terms of how he approached that. Now, I will also tell you that he is banged up to an extent. Not to the level that Sidney Crosby was. Keep him out of the game, but he's not 100%. Not making an excuse, but you know, injuries are injuries, and sometimes that's a reason. But fact of the matter is, I get what he was saying, right? Like, if they replay that game, Canada probably wins. The McDavid breakaway, the Celebrini breakaway, that Hellebuck came up with stops on, McKinnon missing the open net, the 5-on-3, penalty late in the game, the Devon Taves save. You know, it's not difficult to make the case that Canada had ample opportunities to win that game and should have probably won that game, but didn't, and that's okay. That's why they play the games. But when you look at who was the better team in the game outside of the context of the score, and like, I know it sounds ridiculous. I know people are probably screaming at their radios, and I'm not saying that no, Canada should have won. Boo hoo, we got raw. No, the U.S. won thanks to incredible goaltending from Connor Hellebuck and timely scoring. Absolutely deserved to win. Absolutely deserved to win. No question. The gold medal goes to the U.S. this time around. Were they the better team in the game? No, they weren't. Canada was. That also, to me, is not up for debate, but fact is, they didn't put enough in the net, and as a result, they go home silver medalists.
Dave McCarthy, NHL.com, SiriusXM's NHL Radio, host of the Sunday Brunch, and a correspondent on the NHL Network. Follow Dave on X, Dave, the letter A, McCarthy, Dave A. McCarthy. Dave is an avid listener to NHL Network Radio. Enjoy your work. Thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks for having me, boys. Anytime.
Dave McCarthy, kind enough to join us from north of the border here on Miller and Moulton.
Interview. He went boys like 7 times.
He did not go organization, though, but he did go boys 7 times.
Yeah, I think, you mentioned him earlier, Billy Guerin, who's the GM of the team, was going to get crucified if they lost 2-1 because the goal scorers that he left off the team. But in the end, the players that he picked to help win the game determined that he was the right GM for the job.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. floormeisters.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
EB, for what it's worth, I don't disagree with him. I don't disagree with what McKinnon said. But of all the players to say it, he was the wrong guy to say it. I would argue with anyone that said the U.S. was the better team yesterday. I would say you don't know hockey if you say that. We had the better goaltender. And if they played a 7-game series, we might lose 4-1, even with that one we just won.
Now, it is interesting, though. I don't think Guerin puts the same team together if you had to play a best of. If you know what I mean. He put that team together for the tournament and for one game. I think he would have had to have chosen a few of the goal scorers if it was a best of 5, best of 7. Yes, no?
Yeah, he's got to have a Caulfield or a Robinson.
Yeah.
Or,
I don't think you can afford both JT Miller and Vincent Trocheck if it was a best of. You know, you probably leave JT home. You keep Trocheck because of the face-offs, maybe. Because like you said, Trocheck and Makar were fantastic. Second and third in the tourney on faceoffs.
Right.
And faceoffs are really effing important. Like it contributed to our second period. Not only were we icing the puck seemingly every minute, but we weren't doing well in the faceoff dot either. It was like, oh, what the heck? There's no doubt Canada had some injuries and the U.S. may have had guys banged up, but they didn't have any key guys miss any games. I'll tell you what, Sidney Crosby, think about how badly he had to be hurting for him to tell them I can't go.
Well, and I don't believe everything this guy says, but David Chow, right after the NFL guy there, you've interviewed him a million times, filling in on that show. He put the video out right after. He said, that's an MCL. We may never find out what it was, but he thought it was an MCL when it happened.
Oh. Was that the play along the boards or the play in center ice when he got cheap shotted?
I thought it was the play along the boards.
Because I can't believe they didn't call a penalty. I mean, first off, you can't hit him. You can't touch him.
I will say on their goal, that could have been interference on Canada too. The play Hagel makes on the boards there, he takes a guy out who's nowhere near the puck.
Oh, there's no doubt. And Olczyk said he comes in, he interferes with them. Oh yeah,
but Olczyk never said it should have been a penalty. He just said how well the face-off play was done. Talked about how a face-off is 5 guys. And
I thought he was terrific yesterday. You're right, though. They scored the game-winning goal. That was awful producing and directing.
Awful. And they did the same thing apparently in the women's game because that was what the guy pointed out. It was.
I will say though, at least the women's shots, it was tighter, and the dejection was, that was so wide, and they were more interested in a fan shot. How do you not get the U.S. guys running out onto the ice, throwing their helmets and sticks? I mean, Jack Hughes threw his helmet into the stands.
I actually think it went backwards. It looked like it was going stands. He carried it over so much, I think it went behind him.
Okay.
Because it looks like it's going in the stands, David, and where he let it go was like up here.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton, Miller and Moulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X at 21 minutes past the hour. Mike Miller, in a little more than 15 minutes, we'll change it up for a segment. We'll talk a little college hoop. It was a big weekend. Duke will be the new number 1 team in the country when the polls come out later today, taking down Michigan. Couple things. One about the hockey, and then one I want to go football for a second. Mr. Spivey in our Twitch chat room, he thinks the 3-on-3 helped the U.S. I thought it was a huge disadvantage for us 3-on-3. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Against Canada, there's a lot of other nations that I think it might have benefited us. I thought it was dead even against Sweden and we got the goal. But, if we would have gone overtime against Slovakia, I think it would have been advantage U.S. But against Canada, the fact that we scored with maybe the 3 best players in the world on the ice is amazing to me.
I thought we were at a huge disadvantage 3-on-3.
Couldn't agree with you more.
I text you.
Couldn't agree with you more.
This is a problem because they are going to have more skill on the ice every single shift 3-on-3. This is a problem for us. They
were faster.
That's exactly the type of play we needed. We needed somebody makes a gamble for Canada. That leads to a 2-on-1, which becomes a 3-on-2. Pucks in the back of the net. Okay.
And we won it with a physical play, which doesn't happen very often in 3-on-3.
Right, where we body check the defenseman away from the puck, and then Werenski could throw it over to Hughes. Right. I mean, it was perfect for us. We probably needed a broken play to win. But, I thought the 3-on-3 was such a big advantage for Canada.
It was the first time we had the puck.
Here's the football thing I want to go. A big story at the end of the week was the whole Indiana passing this bill, and they're ready to bankroll a stadium for the Bears. And the Bears certainly seemed as if they are turning their back on Illinois. They gave them a couple years, maybe even 3, to get their act together. And, our poll question even was, if they go to Indiana, who do you blame more, the Bears or Illinois? And I think Illinois got over 70% of the vote.
I think it was closer to 80, but I do think, and I'm going to, I do think we could follow up with a poll question that who cares more about the Bears going to Indiana, Illinois natives or David Moulton?
But along those lines, have you paid attention to the story that has emerged over the weekend?
Honestly, David, not even one bit.
I didn't think so. You've got a few things going on. B, there were a lot of other things to pay attention to in the sports world. All right. And it's why I just want to throw this in. Very quickly, the McCaskey family is the owners of the Bears. George McCaskey being the owner these days. Okay, fine. Kevin Warren used to be commissioner of the Big Ten, very influential. And by influential, I mean he was on a European vacation when they added the 4 teams to the Big Ten. They told him about it. Okay. Very influential. So he realized, wow, I got to get a new gig. And he gets hired to be president of the Bears because when he was president of the Vikings, he helped get them US Bank Stadium, which is a great stadium, by the way. All right. So Kevin Warren is driving the bus on the Indiana thing. Kevin Warren's frustrated with Illinois. Kevin Warren is the guy who called Illinois Thursday morning and said, hey, I know we negotiated for 3 hours yesterday, although I didn't go to the negotiations. I was busy. But I know that my people negotiated with you guys, and we basically have the framework of a deal. Could you just hold off on that for a day? Because we want to just change a couple of little dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's. And Illinois said, yeah, sure, whatever you want. And then an hour later, Indiana passed its bill, and the Bears released a statement going, well, looks like we're going to Indiana, barring something unforeseen. Okay. Well, apparently George McCaskey lost his mind and is furious with Kevin Warren because A, he doesn't want to leave Chicago. B, they spent $200 million on Arlington Heights. Oh, what am I going to do with that? I destroyed the racetrack. Now it's just a bunch of land. Am I even going to get $20 for this? What are you doing? The idea was to create leverage. But we want to go to Arlington Heights. Not that statement you released there, buddy. So apparently that's the story in Chicago. And McCaskey really likes Kevin Warren. They don't think he's going to fire Kevin Warren. But Mark, as we like to say, he's very disappointed in Kevin Warren. You know, your parents and grandparents disappointed in you.
The irony of Kevin Warren gets fired after being just a pawn while being the commissioner of the Big Ten.
Right.
And then brought to the Bears specifically for one reason. And that reason was to get them a new stadium, new stadium deal.
Right.
And if his decision to go to Indiana, and this is where, David, it's fascinating because the Indiana deal may by and large be better than whatever Illinois could provide for them in Arlington Heights. The owner's like, I don't give a damn. I'm playing in Chicago.
Yeah, come on. We're the Chicago Bears. Let's bought all those acres in Arlington Heights. What are you doing? We negotiated with them all day, all afternoon on Wednesday. They gave us practically everything we asked for. What is the problem with you? Right. That's apparently what has come out over the weekend in Chicago.
You'll know that Kevin Warren's in trouble if they send him to Puerto Vallarta on a vacation here in the next 48 hours. I have to laugh though, David, because I am convinced that this is a bigger deal to you than most Bears fans.
You're probably right. You're probably right. I don't know why I don't have a problem with the Chiefs going across the border to Kansas. Okay. Don't know why I don't have a problem with some of the other, there are a lot of franchises that are not playing in the cities or states that they're claiming to represent. But this one, and I don't even have a fondness for the Bears. I've never, quote, liked the Bears. I've never had a fondness for the Bears, although the 85 team was amazing. Okay, but I don't know why this one is like, what are we doing?
Now, I will say there were a few Lion fans that kind of had your back. It said it would be like the Lions moving to Toledo. And I'm like, okay, I thought that was a reasonable analogy. I did. But by the way, text line open, Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, back to the hockey. Someone, you mentioned how many people were streaming. We did get one text that I loved who said, I was watching during church yesterday. The preacher even thanked everyone for coming versus staying home to watch the game. I chastised my wife who went to church at 8:30 because I texted my daughter before the game and told her to go downstairs and put the hockey on. It's important. They didn't watch. My wife called me after church while I'm watching the interviews. You know, I just got out of the hospital and this is my wife. And I said, honey, I've invested 3 hours in this. I'm watching the post-game interviews. I'll call you in a little bit. It didn't sit that well.
Right.
But I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes the sport is more important. Mike Miller to talk college hoop next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Johnny Mac, I've got 47 in Tampa for what it's worth.
It was 45 earlier when I checked, but I don't know what it is now. Yep, David is right. 47.
And it's just gotten into the 40s in Jacksonville. Southwest Florida will get into the 60s today. I don't think Tampa will. And Jacksonville won't see the 60s till Wednesday, maybe Thursday, but probably Wednesday.
I'm breaking out the Atlanta night tracksuit to wear to the hospital today. I can tell you that right now.
There you go. Raj, Mike is supposed to join us by video. If by chance he doesn't, and you've played the rejoiner and what have you, then give him a holler. But like we had a guest late on Friday who literally was joining us as the rejoiner was happening. So. No. No, he's not. PHS. In our opinion, he's not. Don't know too many people that are.
Yes, he is. He played a great 200-foot game.
Yeah,
you
he
just
did.
don't like him, and I get it.
I do think Canada Relief, in all seriousness, this Maple Leafs thing reminds me an awful lot of the Rangers in '94, that they had to take the C away from Brian Leach. They had to go get a Messier. Okay, I do think that, you lost Marner. All right, fine, whatever. If you're going to keep Matthews, you got to make him Robin. I don't know how you do it, but you better go get a dog who can handle Toronto, who can handle the history and the weight of it and all that.
3 feet doesn't make a bit of difference. It really doesn't. It's a non-issue. 197 versus 200. I'm sorry, it's a non-issue.
Especially where they made sure the 3 feet was in between the blue lines. They didn't shorten the zones at all. I have to admit, JDR, I was surprised by the jersey Canada wore.
I will say, watching the Slovakia game, it was hard to tell who was who a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Did you shoot him a text this morning by chance and ask him if he got the link or no?
I didn't.
It's usually a good reminder. I had to laugh. I text Kerwin to see if he got his stone crabs, and he doesn't get back to me. And I go online, and here's Big Jimmy with a picture of he and Kerwin that he posted on Facebook. So I sent it to Pat. Pat's like, I could have talked to him all day. Had a ball talking recruiting and football with him, he said.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes to the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. We've spent the overwhelming majority of the show talking about the U.S.-Canada hockey game. 2-1 U.S. in overtime. Just the third time the U.S. has ever won the gold medal. Finally beating Canada. First time in 30 years we beat Canada in something important. We had lost 2 gold medal games to them. And we lost the 4 nations to them. So it was nice to beat Canada and something important in men's hockey. Something we haven't done a lot of. What was the stat? I think since they've gone to NHL players playing in international competition, Canada was 4-1 against the U.S. So, but goaltending performance for the ages. Connor Hellebuck, 41 saves. U.S. wins the gold for just the third time in their history. We said we're going to switch gears, talk a little college hoops, because it was a big weekend and a huge Saturday. Mike Miller covers college hoops for a living. He does so for the Field of 68, thefieldof68.com. You can follow Mike on X at Mike Miller F68. Mike Miller F68. Mike, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. So, did you enjoy the weekend?
Well, yes. I mean, two things important. I'm sure you guys have already talked about it. Besides the phenomenal college hoops games, I'm still riding that high from Team USA yesterday. How good was that?
That was awesome.
Incredible. And we're big hockey guys, so it was a lot of fun to watch. But obviously we have you on to talk college hoop. And after Michigan just dismantled Purdue Mackey and shot so efficiently, and assists to field goals, all the things that they did well, how surprised were you at just how well Duke played defensively, how they owned the glass in that game, plus 13 on the boards against Michigan? And I didn't see it coming. And they were able to play Michigan and keep them in a style that was more advantageous for Duke. Just your thoughts on Michigan Duke.
It was interesting because Duke's been one of the biggest teams in college hoops the last couple of years. That was one of their premier advantages last year, was they had tremendous size over everyone. And that's really one of their underrated aspects this year, is they have tremendous positional size across all positions. Having Patrick Mbonga back and ready to defend and rebound was key, so that Cam Boozer wasn't all by himself down low. I thought Adai Mara getting into foul trouble early for Michigan played a key role. I thought that helped things. But we've seen this with Michigan in their only other loss this year against Wisconsin. One of the key factors was having bigs who could draw their defenders out away from the basket and really spread out that defense. That was something we saw happen a little bit against Duke. But to the larger point, the backcourt for Michigan was not wholly effective. Their bench was largely ineffective, and you just saw Duke kind of grind it out. And in the way we saw some of the other games this weekend, you wouldn't say they played pretty, but they won. And I think that's what we're kind of going to have to see teams do against Michigan. When you're playing against that much size and that much depth, you got to muck it up, you got to get dirty, and you have to do all the little things that win games.
I thought it was important for Duke to hold on and win, not for the obvious, but because in their losses, and they didn't have many, they had double-digit leads in the second half and lost them both. And so I just felt that they needed, once they kind of had Michigan at arm's length, Mike, I just thought it was important, man, you better finish this one, or this is, this is going to hang over you guys heading into the tournament.
Yeah, and that's been a thing for them. They don't get pushed a lot in the ACC. They're used to winning games by 20, 25 points in the ACC. And I think having those kind of tests, especially right now in a neutral court environment that was quite loud in DC, will be important for them. And I thought the other important thing was that you saw this last year. Duke kind of just let Cooper Flagg try to win games on his own. And then at the end of the year, they developed more of an end of game identity. And you saw on Saturday, Coach John Shire be more schematically prepared, I thought, rather than try to let the best players win the game. He was designing ways for Duke to get buckets. He was designing defenses for them to get stops against Michigan. So that kind of tactical evolution for Duke will also be really important, especially they close their ACC season with Virginia, NC State, North Carolina. So, they've got Notre Dame next. That should go Duke's way, no problem. But those three games to end the season, into the regular season, should really prepare them for the postseason tournament, and we'll see what happens there. You would think now at this point, barring any other kind of collapse, they're going to be the prohibitive favorite entering March.
All right, Arizona and Houston. While Duke was able to muck it up and beat Michigan, Houston always mucks it up. That's their style. It's not pretty. I give a lot of credit for Arizona to essentially beating Houston at Houston's game, showing that they can win multiple ways.
Yeah, there was a stat that said teams against AP top three teams were like 5-72 in the last 75 games. And Arizona has 3 of those wins. And the reason they can do it is because they're not a team that's predicated on three-point shooting. They only made 3 threes against Houston, and teams don't win games like that against top 3 opponents when they don't make that many threes. Arizona's always been a team that's tried to pound the ball inside. They try to own the glass, and they try to run for that fast break. It was interesting that Arizona had success too without committing any turnovers. Houston forces teams into turnovers about once every 5 possessions. They're among the top 30 teams in the league and in the nation in doing that. And Arizona, I think, had just 3 turnovers in that game, or 5 turnovers in that game, which is something else. So, and not just that, but then also to do it in Houston, which is a claustrophobic, tight environment for any team to play. It's just the second time Houston's lost a home game in the Big 12 since they've been in it for 3 years. It's a testament to how good Arizona is, especially since they were playing without freshman Koa Pete, without one of their other freshmen, Dwayne Etterstode, who's dealing with an illness. You know, they had a short bench. They were on the road, and this wraps up a stretch for them where they've gone through now Kansas, home against Texas Tech, at BYU, or home against BYU and at Houston. That's a brutal 4-game stretch, and you come out of that 2-2. I think if you're Arizona, you feel pretty good about that.
Mike Miller, Field of 68, field68.com. Follow Mike on X, Mike Miller F68, Mike Miller F68. Is Brad Underwood right? After the loss at UCLA, he basically said, I can't get these guys to realize that we're as good as anybody, but we can't make the key free throw and we can't get the key defensive rebound down the stretch of some of these games. Is he right? And because I have a theory, Mike, come the tournament, guys play harder than they consistently play at times during the season. So is a team more likely to make the little effort play in the tournament as opposed to a Saturday night in California? Or is Brad basically saying, we're going to lose a game in the tournament and it's going to be for just the reason we lost tonight?
He's probably half right. I think that's a statement about the distance traveled, I'm sure, even though before the game, you know, Brad was kind of commenting back and forth with Mick Cronin, who is famously hates all travel anywhere outside of the state of California. And Brad was like, hey, we travel just fine. You know, we charter, we've got good meals. But I think that was a comment, one, on the trip to LA, that his team wasn't focused. But two, probably as much for his upperclassmen. You know, he's got guys on there like Kylan Boswell and Andrei Stojakovic who are experienced college players and should know how to make those types of plays. And even a lot of his European guys aren't young guys. You know, they're experienced players. They've played in professional leagues. I think that it's probably as much about effort as anything else. And that's probably his larger point. But he's got to be just worried about his defense. You know, Illinois just can't get stops. They don't pressure anybody. They play extreme drop coverage. They don't force turnovers. They try to outscore everybody, and that's great in the regular season. But in the tournament, they got to make stops. And he's probably right. This team might not have the mindset, the makeup to get stops when it matters most.
All right. We pointed out a stat that the Gators now have won these, 4 road games and have just blown teams out. Are they a team that we shouldn't sleep on heading into the tournament? You know, you mentioned Duke and the way they've been beaten up on ACC teams. Well, the SEC is not very good this year either. And it looks to me like the Gators have kind of found themselves. Heading into March, what are your thoughts on the Gators?
I mean, they're certainly the team to beat out of the SEC. It's kind of wild. It feels like they're a team that hasn't been tested at all in the SEC, even though I think the last time they lost was January. You know, they're going to leave this month probably without any losses. I think the development of Xavier Lee as a perimeter mid-range scorer has been crucial for them. The front court continues to be dominant, you know, grabbing every rebound in sight, both offensive and defensive. Boogie Fland has been improved defensively. You would say they would probably be in great shape to repeat if they just could hit some perimeter shots. You know, their 3-point shooting has been so atrocious all year that it's just always going to be a worry. Now, that's not to say they can't win. They certainly can win. You know, when you grab all of your missed shots and then your front court puts them in, that makes it easy. But like we just said with Arizona, you know, it's really hard to do that without hitting any 3-pointers. So they're certainly the class of the SEC, and it looks like the SEC is still going to lead all conferences in NCAA tournament bids. They're going to get 9, maybe 10 teams into the tournament, which is crazy. They're not as good at the top as they were last year, and Florida is clearly the best team in the league. But boy, you just want them to hit some shots. They don't need Walter Clayton out there, but it sure wouldn't hurt to have Will Richard, who could consistently hit a 3 on the perimeter.
Very quickly, NCAA over the weekend, they kind of said this is our top 16 and these are our ones going forward. Okay, and then of course, 2, 3 of the ones proceeded to lose, including Iowa State. Just curious, was there anything in the reveal that raised your eyebrows?
I thought Texas Tech still being on the top 4 seeds when they were evaluating the Red Raiders, and they said, look, we don't even mind it that JT Toppin's out for the year. That's crazy to me. He's clearly one of the 2, 3, 4 best players in the game. And to say that, we still think this team will be just fine without him, that seems optimistic. I think the rest of the losses and the performances over the weekend probably just show that the teams are what they are right about now, right? The tournament will be its usual kind of chaotic mix of results, but the teams are who they are now. I wouldn't expect to see a whole lot of shakeups from those top 4, even with their seed lines. Iowa State might drop to a 2, and you might see, Arizona and Houston on the 1 line instead, and Duke and Michigan. UConn probably ends up as a 2, but that's pretty much it. You would think those will be the teams that'll end up being there, because that history has said that when the NCAA slots you in those lines, there's not a lot that changes. It's only 1 or 2 teams that really move out from those lines when they do that reveal.
It's Mike Miller.
If Miami of Ohio runs the table in the regular season, do they have to win the MAC tournament to get in?
No. In fact, I think the consensus now is that, and the media just did their mock bracket last week, and they slotted them in the tournament with 1 loss. So that would have meant they would have lost in the MAC tournament somewhere along the way. So they got an at-large. I actually think it's going to be hard to leave them out, even with 2 losses. They've got 4 games left this year. They get to 30 wins. That's a really high threshold for any at-large team to be omitted from the NCAA tournament. And the other thing is they've got some help on the bubble. The bubble's kind of all over the place this year. And, we'll probably see a couple bid stealers, but Miami sure seems like it's in good shape if they get to 30 wins.
And what do they have? Like 11 or 12 true road wins, which is a very impressive stat, and it should mean a lot in the metrics. He's Mike Miller. He covers college basketball for a living for thefieldof68.com, thefieldof68.com. Follow Mike on X, Mike Miller F68. Mike Miller F68. Mike, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. Safe travels along the way. Hopefully we can catch up sometime around the tournament.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Mike Miller, thefieldof68.com. Tough to find someone that covers college basketball better than the Field of 68.
Well, that made me happy at the end to hear that he thinks Miami of Ohio's in, even if they lose. And you had said it all along, but we don't do that. We don't do the field for a living, if you know what I mean. And
right.
The MAC's not a good conference. It's not what it once was. I mean, it used to be a multi-bid conference.
Yeah. Yep. They don't give extra bids to the Horizon, the Missouri Valley, or the MAC anymore. As we all know, Miller and Moulton.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you can be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, Be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Get ready, Southwest Florida. The Southwest Florida Ag Expo is back. Now's the time to save big with the Mega Pass, your all-in-one ticket to the fun, one low price. Get your one-day admission and unlimited midway rides. Mega Passes available online through February 26th at swflagexpo.com. Don't wait. Grab yours. Get ready for roots, rides, and real fun. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Hey, Southwest Florida, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. For you that haven't tried us yet, you gotta get in here and try my favorite 5 Chicago-style sandwiches. I got the Italian beef, I got the Italian sausage, the sausage and beef, the Maxwell Street Polish, and our soon-to-be famous breaded steak. Call us at either one of our locations in Bonita Springs and Fort Myers. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced jardiniere.
At the Diamond District, we believe more is more.
More diamonds, more selection, more fire. You truly can have it all.
During our Diamond event, March 6th through 8th.
Layered bracelets, dazzling earrings, statement rings. Because when it comes to diamonds, more is more.
Then leave drenched in diamonds, March 6th through 8th. Only at the Diamond District. Hablamos Español.
Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Well, it was also amateurs beating pros. So my buddy Bob, who is the lawyer who frequently listens to the show and comments during it, today is day 4 of a 4-day golf extravaganza at Pinehurst, where he's played courses 4 to 8, and today will be number 5. He said, but we're in a frost delay right now. Said, fortunately, the pro shop has knit hats.
David, I am going to change to my phone because this MiFi sucks right now.
Okay. Oh, baby. No. BD Keller, 4 days. The 4 courses he was assigned were 4, 2, 8, and 5. And he got on number 2. And he was on number 2 with a caddy. I mean, stove up. If I have to move on, I'll move on. But if I were them, I just wouldn't do it. Because I don't think you're getting in your arena in Indiana what you would get at Arlington Heights. You'd get Big Ten title games, college football, national championships, Final Fours. You'd get it all. Because of all the hotels that are right there.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour, the Diamond District bonus hour, on this final Monday of February. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Dominant subject of the show is the obvious. It is the U.S. beating Canada 2-1 in overtime in the gold medal game, and all of the theatrics during and after the game on both sides, and whether or not it will impact any of you who, let's face it, the majority of you do not watch hockey. You don't. Trust us. The ratings tell us you don't. Is this going to get you to watch some hockey? Yay or nay? And one of the ironies that we believe is that the product you just watched and got all interested in, the NHL product the rest of the regular season ain't going to be as good as that. I mean, those were the best of the best and not as much hitting as the NHL usually provides, even though during the regular season it may not anymore. And now the first round of the playoffs or what have you, that is exceptional hockey. That's as fast as they can play, and they hit everything that moves. I mean, I would encourage many of you to sit out the next 2 months and just tune into the first round of the playoffs, because that's the best hockey that you can find, first and second round. You know, Brian Boucher even commented after the first period yesterday that he sees the best product the NHL has to offer, and it ain't as good as what we just saw. And he said, come to think of it, the deeper you get, something Mark has proclaimed for a long time, the deeper you get in the Stanley Cup playoffs, guys are beat up, worn out. I mean, the product's still excellent, but it's not as good as it was in the first two rounds. So, but Mark Miller is with us from a different location. If you're just joining us, he left Moffett Friday night. He's in a hotel for a handful of days, and then he will check in to his permanent housing for about a 9-week stretch before he ends up back home. Mark's having some internet difficulties.
Well, I hope I'm on, David.
Well, you are now.
Yeah, the internet is not agreeing with me, so.
Right. That's okay. It happens. You know, you're locking up.
Three different connections, and none of them are working.
Well, hopefully things will change.
I think I'm here now, David. I'm not sure.
Well, I think audio-wise, you're a lot better than you are video-wise on Twitch and on StreamYard and on YouTube. But I think Mark's working on his connection. He'll get back to us in a moment. If you've missed any part of the show, go to millerandmoulton.com. Dave McCarthy, an hour ago, a Canadian giving us Canada's perspective, but also his unbiased journalistic perspective, in which he makes the case that the save that Connor Hellebuck made with the paddle of his stick is the greatest save in the history of the sport when you consider what was at stake and how ridiculous the save was. Interesting. Usually Miller and Moulton, or some of our listeners, might be those with the hyperbole. But Dave McCarthy believes that. And we just had Mike Miller on talking a little college hoop. Tremendous weekend. NCAA reveals who the 1 seeds would be at this moment in time. And then I think 2 or 3 of them got beat. But is there anyone in the wings ready to replace them? I think there's someone in the wings ready to replace Iowa State, and it'll likely be somebody from the Big 12. But otherwise, no. Okay. I mean, I could see where St. John's replaces Texas Tech because of injury in the top 16 and gets a 4 seed. I mean, to me, I don't know if it's a big difference, 4 versus 5. I mean, you get a slightly easier first round game, but you play each other in the second round. So we'll say it again. We don't think there'll be a lot of upsets in the first round of the tournament. We think the second week of the tournament will be exceptional this year. And the Gators are moving up, and the Gators have a real shot to be a 2. A real shot to be a 2 seed. Now, I think they have to win the SEC to be a 2 seed. I think losing in the conference tournament could knock them down to a 3. Once again, don't know how big a difference that is. But the Gators are moving up. And don't worry about the polls, because that's not the committee's work behind the scenes. They rank teams a little differently. But with the way Florida's winning games, 4 straight road wins of 19 or more points, yeah, that hasn't been done since the tournament's gone to 64 plus. That's pretty damn impressive. So, and they're doing it in the SEC, where the conference is going to get 8+ bids. May even get as many as 10, which I don't know if I agree with, but that's the way it goes these days. Miller and Moulton. Does the hockey tournament have legs? Or, no, man, it's the Olympics. We wrap ourselves in the jersey. We do it all the time, but there's not a whole lot of legs afterwards. Like, for instance, those of you of a certain age, did you start watching the NHL after the U.S. hockey team? Or did you start watching Olympic hockey in future years after 1980? Now, the 1980 team's impact was on participation. There's no doubt it inspired a generation of young people to play the sport. I mean, the proof is there. That's undeniable. I mean, I'll be curious, since hockey already has tremendous participation at the youth level. I'll be curious how much the impact will be in terms of participation for youth hockey going forward because of what the team did yesterday. The difference between a gold and a silver. What's the impact going to be? I put it this way. Right now, as Mark rejoins us, right now, Mark, the TGL, when it's on ESPN, gets better ratings than the NHL does when it's on ESPN and Turner. The TGL ratings came out over the weekend. When they've been on ESPN, they get 605,000 viewers on average. When they're on ESPN2, they get barely over half that.
I didn't get the question. I got your numbers. What was the question? I'm sorry. I've been bouncing in and out. I apologize.
No, that's fine. Just in terms of the impact on NHL ratings going forward for the rest of this season because of what just took place really in the last 5 days.
David, I hate to be a pessimist. I don't think it will do much. It may do, 100,000, maybe if they're lucky, 200,000 more.
Which
But
would be huge.
you and I follow the ratings very closely, more than many other shows. And one of the things that, our listeners won't get it because where we're on, Tampa, it's a great hockey market. Fort Myers, Naples, number 2 non-NHL hockey market in the country. So we watch, but the people that are, quote unquote, the NBA fan, are they going to tune into the NHL now? I just don't think so.
Did you see the little interlude on Inside the NBA yesterday?
I did not.
So obviously it's Ernie Johnson and it's Chuck and Shaq and Kenny Smith. And Barkley's wearing a Team USA hockey jersey on Inside the NBA. He predicted they would win Saturday. And then obviously, he was wearing the colors yesterday. And Ernie was all in. He watched, him and Chuck were talking. Ernie turns to Shaq and says, "You're not saying much. Did you watch?" And Shaq goes, "I did not." Now, if you know Shaq at all, and we don't, but we know people who do, Shaq sleeps until noon.
Every day. Shaq had no desire to watch it. He wasn't getting up. He's a night owl and sleeps.
Right. So as Ernie was asking him, I'm going, "Oh, wow, Shaq doesn't get up at 8 a.m. for like anything." And Shaq basically said no. He turns to Kenny Smith, and Kenny Smith's like, "No." Now, two basketball guys, not into hockey. Team USA against Team Canada couldn't get them to watch. I'm just curious for those of you that watched who don't normally watch hockey, and that might be the only hockey game you watch this year. Hell, might be the only hockey game you watch for 4 years. But just curious, wetting the finger, holding it up in the air. You guys going to watch more hockey because of the Olympics? Did you watch more hockey in the last year because of Four Nations?
And Four Nations had the fights. You got to, that
right.
We had a brawl we had a 3-on-3 line brawl essentially to start that game. And that got people into it. And this is the time of the year in the NHL, David, that doesn't have a lot of what? Fights. We're trying to get to playoff spots. First round of the playoffs, different animal.
Right.
But between now and April, there's not a lot of fighting in the NHL. And as we've pointed out, there's just no way for the hockey to be as good as what we watched yesterday.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Get ready, Southwest Florida. The Southwest Florida Ag Expo is back. Now's the time to save big with the Mega Pass. Your all-in-one ticket to the fun, one low price. Get you one-day admission and unlimited midway rides. Mega Passes available online through February 26th at swflagexpo.com. Don't wait. Grab yours. Get ready for roots, rides, and real fun. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton. Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Quickly, a baseball note or two. Didn't mention it in the starting five. I should have. Bill Mazeroski died over the weekend. Hall of Famer. Was on 2 Pirates World Championship teams and hit one of the 3 most famous home runs in baseball history. Walked off the Yankees in Game 7, bottom of the ninth of the 1960 World Series at Forbes Field with a homer over the left field wall. Yogi Berra watched it go. Couldn't do anything about it. He was 24 years old at the time. He was such a big sports figure in Pittsburgh, Mark, that when the Penguins were trying to win, I think it was Sid's second cup in 2016, they hadn't won the cup at home in a while. You know, Sid's first cup was in Detroit, you know, and I think Mario's 2 cups were in Minnesota and Chicago. So there hadn't been a championship won in Pittsburgh, you know, in the 79 Pirates, and I think the 71 Pirates also won on the road.
One on the road, because we've talked about that. That was that long drought of Game 7's always won by the home team, and the last road team to have done it was that 79 Pirate team.
And so the Penguins brought Bill Mazeroski to the arena because it had been 56 years since a Pittsburgh team had won a championship in Pittsburgh. And they brought him to the arena, and I don't think they won it. Because I thought that was the San Jose final where they lost Game 5 at home and had to win it in San Jose in 6. But a beloved figure in Pittsburgh passed away at the age of 90.
David, I'm going to use your brain here because I don't know. When you said one of the 3 biggest home runs, what are the other 2?
In World Series history?
Yes.
Kirk Gibson, Joe
Yep.
Carter.
Joe, okay. How would they be ranked? I mean, obviously that's so long ago that it's hard to put a black and white game in front of a game in colored television.
Right.
You know, Gibby's with all of the pomp and circumstance of coming off the bench and touch 'em all Joe. I mean, but the Mazeroski one,
I think
for something that happened before I was born, people that are our age to remember that makes it maybe number 1.
I also think, and this is not a New York bias, but that was the Yankees when they were the Yankees. Okay.
Right.
If you go and look at that series, the Pirates, I think, won 4 one-run games. The 3 games the Yankees won, they won by like 30 runs. You know, this was Maris and Mantle. This was the Yankees.
Right.
You know, Stengel's still managing. Yogi's still playing. These are the Yankees. They went to what? 4 out of 5 World Series during the stretch there. Went to like 9 out of 11. And so I argue it's the biggest home run in the history of the sport. Or, I don't know, biggest, but greatest, most impactful. You know, Touch 'em all Joe was Game 6. Kirk Gibson was Game 1. This is the bottom of the ninth of Game 7. Breaking, I think, a 9-all tie. And, oh, by the way, the Yankees were down 2 going to the ninth, and some guy named Mantle hit a 2-run homer to tie it.
So that's why, I thought those were the 2 you were going to mention, but I didn't know if there was something prior to that I may have missed.
I mean,
and I'm with you. I've said it a long time. I've said it many times. I was lucky enough to see a World Series game in '84 in Detroit, and I'll never forget. Went with my buddy to a Marlins Yankees, the World Series game in 99?
7.
97. And when we went to that game, we're walking in, and
Oh,
he
no.
looked at me.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said Marlins Yankees.
Yes.
That was 03.
Okay, so it was 03. We're walking in that game. We're both Tiger fans. We were both lucky enough to go to a game in 84 with our fathers, not together, but separately. And he looked at me walking in. He goes, "This is the Yankees, man." There's something that, there's no New York bias that would ever come out of my mouth. I don't like
Right.
anything about their teams. But when you're going to see a World Series game and it's the New York Yankees, it just has a little more oomph to it, if you know what I mean.
And
So-
obviously, there were many other famous home runs. 2 years ago, Freddie Freeman slammed to win game 1. Kirby Puckett, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Okay, the tremendous World Series between the Cardinals and the Rangers, and with David Freese with the home run in the 10th, I think it was, to extend that game for St. Louis. They would win it and then win the next night. There have been, just those were my three. First off, Joe and Bill Mazeroski were the only two walk-off World Series homers. All the others that we mentioned were to win a game, force a game 7. Okay, and I picked Gibson because they were massive underdogs in that series to the A's. Massive underdogs. And to me, it totally changed the series. He doesn't hit that home run, I'm convinced Oakland wins the series in no more than 5. So I think it was a home run that literally changed the outcome of a series. They obviously, most of us weren't around. They said the same thing about Willie Mays' catch against Cleveland. Cleveland was a huge favorite. And if Mays doesn't make that catch, they're going to score multiple runs and win it game 1. And Cleveland probably goes on to do what everybody thought they would do. Mays makes the catch. Nothing scores. Giants end up winning game 1. They ended up sweeping. So
and obviously at that time in the world, and obviously doing it for Pittsburgh, it makes him a legend for life in that town.
Oh, absolutely. And he stayed.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
and he stayed.
So Bill Mazeroski passing over the weekend, and I'm glad you got into that because it deserved more than 8 seconds during the starting 5.
Yes.
To be brutally honest, it really did.
I had it as a note here. I said, make sure you get to Bill Mazeroski. So a couple of quick baseball things. The World Baseball Classic, guys are going to be leaving spring training here real soon and going to the World Baseball Classic. Yeah, Judge is ready. He hit 2 homers in a game over the weekend. And the Dodgers played Ohtani. And I think they let him pitch, to get him ready for the World Baseball Classic. So,
And I had to giggle. Someone in the chat room started immediately transferring from the gold medal to the World Baseball Classic. Yeah, no. No.
Take it easy.
No. 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 I mean, that's no. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'd rather let David wax poetically about Michael Jordan and NASCAR than talk about the World Baseball Classic.
Well, as I was saying, Mark, by the way,
hell, half the guys can't even get in the damn tournament because they can't get insurance. Guys that want to play can't even play in the World Baseball Classic.
Right.
And trust me, their owners are extremely happy that they can't.
Right. They're not helping them at all.
Not one bit.
At all. Very quickly, last segment, just kind of threw out there. So how many of you are going to sample some NHL based off of you getting all into the Olympic hockey tournament? A buddy of ours who's a former television sportscaster texted me and said, love Olympic hockey, not a game in the NHL.
Got a text on the text line. That was my only hockey game because it was best on best and the countries. Not a reason for me to watch the NHL. Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was the day when and what's on tap. It's how we finish things off, and we'll do it next in the Diamond District bonus hour. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea, and by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
By the way, I think it was Sonny who said Jack Clark. Yeah, that was in the NLCS. Also, the Cardinals were ahead 3-2. If he doesn't homer and the Dodgers win that game, we still play a game 7. Well, exactly, Paula. So how big of an impact is yesterday going to have? I mean, if everybody's playing hockey, I mean, how big of an impact is it going to have? And imagine that for a World Series. It's only happened twice. And only happened once in a game 7.
I had to laugh. I had an old friend that I grew up with, big Tigers fan, big baseball fan. And he's on Facebook, and they posted the Tigers alternate jerseys, and he reposted and said, no one should ever go to a game when they wear these. These are disgraceful. They have the best uniform in the sport. I understand it's for money, but I think they should boycott every game that they wear the alternate jerseys. That's drawing a line in the sand.
There you go. By the way, NBC hasn't announced it yet, but the word is that the voice of the Tigers, Jason Benetti, is going to be their voice for baseball. The other thing that they announced, actually maybe we bring this up tomorrow. NBC's going old school. Remember in the 70s, if you go back and look at classic World Series, Kurt Gowdy was the main play-by-play guy on NBC, but depending on where the game was played, that's who he did the game with.
Oh, okay.
So like, the Red Sox World Series. Well, in the early 70s, like Al Michaels was doing Reds. So when the games were in Cincinnati, it'd be Gowdy and Michaels. And then when they were on the road, it would be Gowdy and that legendary A's announcer. And Orioles, so apparently that's what NBC is going to do. But they're not going to use play-by-play guys. I think they're going to use analysts. So it's going to be Benetti with, and if they're doing a Rays game in St. Pete, I guess it would be with the, BA. Of course, I think NBC has to get permission.
David, Thursday, I'm going to have to miss most of the show.
Okay.
They scheduled labs for me at 8 a.m. And the same thing, and I'll remind you, March 6th. I'm trying to get them changed.
That's a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a bummer too, because I went through that where, especially when it's just labs, it's like, why do I have to be here at 8? Like, I can't do the labs at 11?
I'm going back and forth with the person in the clinic right now. She's like, can you make them work? I'm like, I can make them work, but why was it more accommodating when I was actually in the hospital?
Right. So did you say this Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah, really, that makes no sense. You guys.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till we're out of here. We're done. Bye-bye. So long, farewell. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X.
What do you say? We get after it? Yeah.
It's your segment.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
The Alamo, besieged today for 13 days by the Mexican army in 1836. We jump all the way to 1940. Woody Guthrie writes, "This land is your land." 45, it was today that the Marines raised the flag in Iwo Jima. Photo taken by Joe Rosenthal would be the iconic photo that inspired the Marine Corps War Memorial sculpture. Today in 54, at the Arsenal Elementary School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a group of children were the first to receive injections for the new polio vaccine. Today in 63, Pavarotti makes his debut at the Vienna State Opera. Eric Hayden today would make it 5 for 5, winning the 10,000.
Can we just, for 10 seconds, pause? First off, what he did got completely overshadowed because, well, In fact, we won 6 gold medals as a country in those Olympics. Hayden won 5 and the hockey team.
Right.
But he won the 500, the 1,000, the 1,500, the 5,000, and the 10,000 meter speed skating.
Correct.
How much different could those last 2 races be from the first 2?
Well, I mean, think of it. Try to think of someone winning the 400 in track. I'm not even going to say the 100 or the 200. Someone wins the 400 in the track and field and then wins the 10,000 meters.
Right.
I mean, that's just amazing. Today in 83, the New Jersey Generals signed Herschel Walker to a 3-year, $5 million deal.
And because of it, he couldn't go back to Georgia, which he really wanted to do. But they said, yeah, once you put pen to paper, it's over.
1985, a couple of big sports stories. Patrick Waugh makes his NHL debut for Les Habitants, and Bobby Knight heaves the chair onto the court while coaching Indiana.
There we go.
You got that right. The film The Doors, directed by Oliver Stone, with Val Kilmer and Meg Ryan, premiered today in 91. This is a fun one for you music guys, and apparently Tool is going to play The Sphere. But it was today in London in 1997, during a Tool show. Maynard Keenan, their lead singer, who was an Army veteran and a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner, floors a fan who is coming on stage and keeps him in a chokehold while singing, detaining the fan until they take him off the stage. That's rock and roll. Eminem released his first major record album, the Slim Shady LP, today in 99. Junior wins Daytona today in 2014. And it was 12 years ago today that Canada was on top of the hockey world, while the men completed the double with a 3-0 victory over Sweden in Sochi. And 5 years ago today, Tiger crashed the car in LA. I mean, essentially ending his golf career.
Yeah.
Peter Fonda would have celebrated a birthday today. Fred Biletnikov's 83. Ed Too Tall Jones is 75. Bobby Bonilla, 63. Steve Stricker, 59. Andre Ward, the Ward Gotti fights. Andre Ward's 42. Andrew Wiggins, 31. Jamal Murray is 29. And Ramondre Stevenson is 28 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Well, I'm afraid that I may have missed a couple of the things you said, and I'm going to bring them up, and you're going to go, yeah, I said that. Yeah, I said that. Did you have Woody Guthrie today in 1940?
Sure did, David.
That's what I feared.
This land is your land. He wrote it today.
Right. Thank you. Did you have the tie for the Song of the Year today in 78?
I did not.
Okay. Apparently, it's the only time it ever happened. Grammy voters couldn't make up their mind. Barbra Streisand's love theme from A Star Is Born tied Debbie Boone's You Light Up My Life.
Good gracious. I'm pretty sure my mom had...
Bobby Bonilla is still getting money from the Mets at 63 years old.
I think he's also getting money from the Orioles. Somebody out there is... The Orioles owe somebody a bunch of deferred payments also.
I can guarantee you that my mother had the Star is Born soundtrack on LP, and I'm pretty sure we had the Debbie Boone LP as well.
So just, okay, so they tied. Okay, other nominees, Glenn Campbell's Southern Nights. Okay, Crystal Gale's Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue. Carly Simon's Nobody Does It Better, and the Eagles' Hotel California.
There's one of those that lasted.
Right.
One.
Exactly. Right. Mm-hmm.
And the Southern Nights by Glenn Campbell, it's a good ditty. It's a toe tapper. It's a snappy.
It's snappy. Right. By the way, a song that did not get nominated, Tom Petty's American Girl.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
And Bob Marley's Jammin'.
I also can see that. I mean, we're talking about Song of the Year in the U.S., but, you know,
okay.
I mean, Bob Marley, a lot of his music became more popular after his death.
Okay. I'm just, glad I actually caught something you didn't mention.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Illinois for the good, where Amin Hillam filed a lawsuit in 2023. Boy, our court system's quick. He sued Buffalo Wild Wings, alleging that the chain's use of the term boneless wing was deceptive marketing. He said it was false and deceptive marketing advertising of boneless wings because apparently he said it misled customers into thinking they are made of a deboned chicken wing rather than a chicken nugget, essentially. It was thrown out of court yesterday. For the bad, we go to Port Charlotte, where the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office arrested a man after he fell into a stranger's pool. Christopher Cyberke claimed to be a CIA agent after reporting swizzling vodka on Thursday afternoon and forgetting where he lived. He ended up at a stranger's home. He knocked on their door asking to stay for a few days. They told him to go bother someone else. Well, he went around back and got his way inside their lanai. That caused the couple to call 911. Moments later, they heard a splash as the stranger fell through their pool cover into the water. He climbed out, knocked on the back door, asking for French fries and a towel. Rusty Simplex, the resident of the home, remarked, "I would shove my boot so far up his that he would be tasting leather." The man was arrested for disorderly intoxication and trespassing. And finally, the ugly. We go to the pizza capital of the world, New Haven, Connecticut, where the police chief is not going to be having pizza anytime soon. Carl Jacobson was arrested after swindling money up to over $81,000 of confidential informant fund money to gamble on FanDuel. He'll enjoy his time spent in the correctional department. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, February the 13th. And it's brought to you by our good friends at the Cape Coral Police Department. Hiring new officers, offering great pay, great benefits, overtime, plus other jobs available. For all information, go to capecops.com, capecops.com. Got an email from the chief late last night, said he was still riding the high of the U.S. game.
There you go.
Into the evening, and thought of you and I while watching it. And certainly we have spent the majority of the show today talking about the unbelievable goaltending and great win for the U.S. team, getting the gold 2-1 over Canada.
By the way, the Orioles are paying Bobby Bonilla $500,000 a year for 25 years. So while he's getting his $1.1 something million check from the Mets for another 10 years, apparently the Orioles owe him $500,000 for this year and 2 more. He got 25 years of $500,000 a year from the Orioles.
David, we will be long gone from this planet while Ohtani's getting a lot more than that from the Dodgers.
Right. But that was a negotiated while he was still playing. Like Scherzer's deal with the Nats, which I think is still going. Like he agreed to 7 years, 210 with the Nats, 30 a year. But he agreed to 15 now and then 15 a year when he's done. So they'll owe him 15 a year for 7 years, I think, whenever Scherzer retires. That's a lot of coin.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Couple of pretty good college basketball games tonight, at least based on the rankings. 7 and 9 o'clock on the 4-letter network. Early, Louisville at North Carolina. Late, Houston at Kansas. By the way, this Kansas situation's getting interesting. With their
the freshman that doesn't like to play.
Yeah, and Bill Self is like, listen, don't question him. Okay, really, he's on the up and up. But then Bill Self publicly says, he could make this all go away if he plays 30 or more minutes a night. So he plays 32 minutes against Cincinnati, and they suffer their worst home non-conference loss in 35 years.
By the way, North Carolina, both teams ranked. They're an underdog tonight. The Tar Heels don't get on a plane until the tournament. Every game at home. I think that Duke game's even at home as well.
No, it's at.
It's at Duke. Okay, so
yeah,
so
but
they bust 10
Yeah.
miles down the road.
Right. Yeah. So Louisville, North Carolina tonight, 7:00 on ESPN, 9:00. Although it won't start at 9 because these games are all running over. Houston at Kansas. No NHL till Wednesday. The association is back in earnest. However, only 3 games tonight, and the doubleheader is on Peacock. Spurs, Pistons. How about
Pretty good
that?
game right there. Pretty good game.
That's 2 of the 3 best teams in the league. Because the Spurs are only 2.5 behind Detroit for best record in the league. And only like a game and a half behind OKC for best record in the West. So Spurs, Pistons, Utah, Houston, the nightcap. 2 of the 3 games in the NBA on Peacock.
Wouldn't be surprised, by the way, to see the Spurs win tonight. One of the bigs for the Pistons still out with that suspension and playing Wemby. It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Boy, tough to pick against the Pistons.
I understand, but they're not playing the Knicks.
That's funny. That's funny. Hey, don't laugh. If you're the Knicks, you better start paying attention to the seeding in the East. You need to make it so in the second round you play the Celtics. Okay? You need to hope that Cleveland can take care of Detroit because you have no answers for them.
None whatsoever. You lost them the last time with 2 of their bigs being out and still got blown out in the 4th quarter.
Right. At home. Right. So, yeah, if you're the Knicks, you make sure you're playing the Celtics or the Cavs in the second round. You need somebody, preferably Cleveland, who I think has a better shot at Detroit than Boston. Well, it will be interesting if Boston gets Tatum back.
It would be fascinating. You know,
Yes, it
then
will.
you've got Cleveland and the Knicks who can beat everybody but Detroit.
Right.
So it could be a really good second round in the East if that were to work out that way.
And we should start talking about Jaylen Brown in the MVP race because I think he deserves strong consideration, along with that guard in Detroit. He seems pretty good.
He's playing pretty well for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
No Pat Kerwin tomorrow. He is flying to Indianapolis for the combine. We will talk to him later in the week, probably twice, but no Pat tomorrow.
Yeah. Pat's planning on Wednesday and Friday. So we're hoping to talk with Mike Eruzione tomorrow and Bob Harrig because the West Coast golf swing is over and we're pretty sure Bob flew home today. So that's our hope for tomorrow. Thanks for listening, Miller and Moulton. Get ready, Southwest Florida. The Southwest Florida Ag Expo is back. Now's the time to save big with the Mega Pass. Your all-in-one ticket to the fun, one low price. Get your one-day admission and unlimited midway rides. Mega Passes available online through February